the school beauty's personal bodyguard. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1151 Disguised Shu. And Xuanyuan was a ruthless character, capable of anything from removing kidneys to killing people. He was incredibly courageous and normally showed no fear. But did Lin Yi deliberately lure us here to trick us? Su Taizao remained uneasy. Is there a ghost here? What the hell? Don't talk nonsense, and Xuanyuan glared at Su Taizao. Are you still recovering from your old illness? You cowardly thing, you're still wetting the bed. I'm alright now. Su Taizao's face flushed, and he shook his head. Okay, then follow me. Stop talking nonsense, and Xuanyuan shouted angrily. Hurry up and follow me. Don't lose me. No. Su Taizao nodded and quickly followed. Wow, this place is so quiet. Perfect for romance. Pengzhan was delighted with the surroundings. The endless beach and sea, peaceful and tranquil. Chu Mengyao and Tang Yun exchanged a glance, unable to help but smile wryly. Only Pengzhan could say such a thing. Perhaps Xiaoshu could say the same. Pick a spot. We'll camp here tonight, Lin Yi said to the girls in the car as he parked the car on the beach. It's all the same here. Just pick a spot, right? Tang Yun glanced out the window, noting that it was already getting late and the beach looked the same everywhere. Okay, then, here we are. Lin Yi nodded and got out of the car to prepare their camping supplies. Mista and Xiaoshu had bought 2 tents at the supermarket. While one tent could accommodate 5 people, Mista and Lin Yi didn't have a real relationship, so sharing a tent with him wouldn't be possible. It would be embarrassing for her. Tang Yun, how about you stay with Xiaoshu and me tonight? And let Lin Yi and Xiao stay. Chu Mengyao pulled Tang Yun over and whispered to her. This was the plan when they bought the 2 tents. Lin Yi and Xiao would stay in one, and they would stay in the other with Tang Yun. Yet, of course, Tang Yun agreed without a second thought. Although she felt a little disappointed, since this was their first trip together, she and Lin Yi should have lived together. But when she thought about it, she and Lin Yi still had a long time to live together, and there would always be opportunities. Xiaoxio, on the other hand, was different. She might die at any moment, so Tang Yun naturally wanted to prioritize her. Oh, I want to live with Brother Arrow too, Chen Yushu interrupted. You live under the same roof with Lin Yi every day, why are you joining in the fun now? Go get a tent. Chu Mengyao glared at Xiaoshu, feeling a little embarrassed. Oh, Chen Yushu turned around and went to get the tent. The 2 tents were placed quite far apart. Chu Mengyao was surprised when she saw them. Xiaoshu, why did you put the 2 tents so far apart? Oh, I was worried that strange noises would come out of Brother Arrow's tent at night and disturb our rest, Chen Yushu said. Chatterbox Shu, what are you talking about? That's not what you just said. Pengzhan's face flushed red, and she glared at Chen Yushu in exasperation. You just told me you were worried your poker game tonight would affect us. Yeah, I'm worried it might affect you guys, too, Chen Yushu nodded matter-of-factly. Chu Mengyao and Tang Yun exchanged a look, both a little amused and embarrassed. These two were truly a perfect match. They cooperated when there was an external enemy, and fought among themselves when there wasn't. Nonsense, Pengzhan's face flushed crimson. No. I know exactly what you're thinking, Chen Yushu said. How do you know? You're not a worm in my stomach, Pengzhan retorted. Because we're similar. I can imitate you, and I'm the fake Shu, Chen Yushu said. Then I know. You want to have sex with Lin Yi, too, that's why you're thinking that, Pengzhan said. Yeah, I did. I want to play 3 rounds, Chen Yushu said. Okay, I want to, too, Pengzhan said. Why don't you come over tonight and play with us? Seeing the 2 people's talk spiraling out of control, Chu Mengyao and Tang Yun quickly stopped them. Xiaoshu, Xiaoxio, they each shouted at the other. Can you guys get down to business? Stop digging into these inexplicable things, Chu Mengyao said, a bit amused. Yet, Lin Yi's building a fire over there. Let's help, Tang Yun said. A fire isn't necessary in the summer, but Lin Yi had created a bonfire dinner to make it more festive. And Xuanyuan and Su Taizao also drove onto the beach and parked not far from Lin Yi and the others. They wanted to join Chu Mengyao, but they were afraid she wouldn't agree, so they had to find a roundabout way to get closer. Brethren, this place is so secluded and a little creepy. Su Taizao parked the car and refused to get out for a long time. Can you be a little more creative? What's so scary about this beach? There aren't any sea monsters, and Jianwen disapprovingly got out of the car and said anxiously, Lin Yi's already started a fire over there. We need to show off our skills. Get the picnic equipment Yang Ganglao bought and make some delicious food to lure Chu Mengyao over with the aroma. Oh, Su Taizao reluctantly got out of the car. The sharp sea breeze made him shiver as he stepped out. The two opened the trunk of the Audi Q7 and found a barbecue set for a picnic, along with some ready-made skewers of lamb, pork ribs, chicken wings, and vegetables. This Yang Ganglao is really good at it. The beach is perfect for a barbecue party, and Jianwen was overjoyed when he saw the contents of the trunk. He wasn't very good at making anything else, as he hadn't learned any cooking skills. But barbecuing, with all these ready-made items, was easy. Who wouldn't know how to grill them? Brethren, shall we barbecue now? Su Taizao took the barbecue grill out of the car, placed it on the open space on the beach, illuminated it with the headlights, and prepared to start working. The bright light of the headlights made Su Taizao feel more at ease. After all, there was no villager shop in the middle of this beach, which made him a little nervous. Well, let's do it here. Let's make a fire quickly. I'm hungry. I've been watching them at the door of Chu Mengyao's house all day and haven't even eaten anything, and Jianwen said. Okay, let me take a look at the instructions first to see how to use this barbecue grill, Su Taizao said. Just light it up. How else do I use it? Do I need to read the instructions for this thing? And Jianwen said impatiently. Chapter 1152 We want to eat seafood. Who still uses fire nowadays? Isn't that something only primitive people do? Now we all have electric ovens, Su Taizao said proudly. Look at Lin Yi, he's so stupid as to make a fire over there. It's not environmentally friendly at all, and it's easy to burn himself. Fuck, you idiot, where's the power supply in the wilderness? Did you buy an electric one? And Jianwen got anxious when he heard what Su Taizao said. This Yang Ganglao shouldn't make such a low-level mistake. Su Taizao was also shocked and broke out in a cold sweat when he heard what Jianwen said. Yes, where's the power supply on the beach? Are you kidding? Then what's going on? Don't tell me you can use it without plugging it in. And Jianwen was very angry. Brethren, this is solar-powered. It doesn't require electricity. Su Taizao opened the manual, glanced at it, and said, I told you Yang Ganglao was smart, he wouldn't make such a stupid mistake, son, motherfucker. Where's the sun? Why don't you tell him to buy something that's powered by the moon? And Jianwen was even more furious when he heard Su Taizao's words. What the hell is this? It's solar-powered? Brethren, calm down. I'll call Ganglao and see what's going on. Su Taizao wiped the sweat from his forehead. Yang Ganglao was such a jerk. Why did he buy such a crap thing? Then go ahead and ask, and Jianwen waved his hand in frustration. Ganglao, what's wrong with you? Why did you buy a solar-powered barbecue grill? There's no sun in the middle of the night. How are you expecting brethren and me to use it? Su Taizao berated Yang Ganglao. Brother Taizao, this is the latest high-tech product, an upgraded version of the 3-in-1 grill, and now the best-selling model, Yang Ganglao said a little aggrievedly. Not only can it be grilled with solar energy, but it can also be grilled with hand cranks, and it can also be connected to the car's cigarette lighter to draw power. Is that so? Why didn't you tell me earlier? I was scared to death. When Su Taizao heard that it could be hand cranked and charged by the car, it was quite advanced, so he immediately breathed a sigh of relief. How is brother in sports car? I'm in the repair shop, repairing it, Yang Ganglao said. Okay, you fix it first. I want to have a barbecue with it, brethren. Su Taizao hung up the phone and quickly said to Jianwen, Brethren, this grill is not only solar-powered, but also can be grilled with hand cranks and draw power from the car's cigarette lighter. Is that so? Then I wronged Yang Ganglao. This is a good thing. Hurry up and plug it into the car. I want to have a barbecue, and Jianwen was immediately overjoyed when he heard it. Sure enough, after the barbecue grill was plugged into the car, it became hot and even flashed colorful lights, which was very beautiful. Su Taizao put the skewers of meat and chicken wings he bought on the barbecue grill and started grilling them. Suddenly, the air was filled with the aroma of barbecue. You grill first, I'll go call Chu Mengyao and the others to come and eat." After Jianwen finished speaking, he walked towards Lin Yi and said to Chu Mengyao, who was about to help Lin Yi, "Sister Yao, you are here too? We are grilling over there, why don't you go over and eat something together? What do you like to eat? I'll ask Taizao to make something for you in advance." Chu Mengyao frowned. She originally thought that Jianwen would wait for a while before coming over to chat with her, but she didn't expect that Jianwen would come as soon as she and the others had just settled down. "We have prepared it ourselves, you can eat it by yourselves, thank you for your kindness," Chu Mengyao said indifferently. "Haha, it's okay, it's just the two of us. We've prepared a lot of food, including lamb skewers, pork rib skewers, vegetable skewers, and chicken wing skewers," Jianwen introduced with a beaming face. "Sister Yao and I want to eat seafood," Chen Yushu interrupted Jianwen and said directly. "Ah, seafood," Jianwen was stunned. He just took a quick look at the skewers in the trunk, and they were basically all beef, mutton, chicken, and the like, and there was no seafood. So he hurriedly said, "It would be so pleasant to have a barbecue party at the beach. Why do you have to eat seafood?" "Of course you have to eat seafood at the beach. That's the mood. It's so pleasant to eat seafood with the sea breeze. Where can't you eat barbecue? We can even have a barbecue party in our yard. If you don't have seafood, get out of the way and don't get in the way here." Chen Yushu put out the fire for Jianwen with just one sentence. "There's no seafood now," Jianwen said with a bitter face. "Isn't there seafood everywhere in the sea?" "What a joke," Chen Yushu said, pointing to the sea. "Oh, so, wait a minute," Jianwen had no other choice but to give up for the time being and ran back to think of a solution with Su Taizao. Jianwen felt that he had made a big mistake. When he went to Chu Mengyao's house before, he should have asked what they wanted to eat. But it was too late to ask here. "Xiao Shu, you are so mean. Don't you want him to go to the sea to catch seafood?" Chu Mengyao couldn't help laughing. "Isn't this a hassle? I didn't ask him to. If he is willing to understand, then let him do what he wants." Chen Yushu shook her head and said seriously. Chu Mengyao shook her head. Within Jianwen's temper, he would probably send Su Taizao to catch seafood, but what could he catch in the dark? Sure enough, Jianwen and Su Taizao went back to discuss and prepared to go to the sea to catch seafood. Although lamb skewers and chicken wings are delicious, people don't like them. It would be in vain, and the main purpose of Jianwen coming to the beach this time was to attract Chu Mengyao's attention and show his courtesy to her. Now that Chu Mengyao wanted to eat seafood, he would of course take the lead in finding a way to satisfy Chu Mengyao's request. "You drive the cart to the beach, shine the headlights, and we'll go into the sea to catch some seafood," Jianwen said with gritted teeth. Okay, Su Taizao naturally did whatever Jianwen said. Although he didn't want to go into the sea to catch any seafood, as it was scary in the dark, Jianwen had already gone into the sea himself, so he naturally couldn't fall behind. Jianwen and Su Taizao changed into swimming trunks and threw themselves into the embrace of the sea under the illumination of the car's headlights. However, where can they catch any seafood in the dark? Not to mention at night, it would be hard to catch any seafood even in the shallows during the day. If you want to catch seafood, you can only go to a slightly deeper sea, but the sea at night is dark and quiet. Although Jianwen is brave, he dare not go to too deep waters. If he is not careful, it will undoubtedly be tantamount to seeking death. This is not a swimming area, but a dangerous area. Who knows what dangers are hidden under the sea? Therefore, Jianwen and Su Taizao can only grope in the shallow sea. However, after groping for a long time, they didn't touch anything except a few small conchs and clams. Even if there are fish and crabs nearby, they can't be touched at night. Chapter 1153. You went there by yourself. Brethren, how's your catch? Su Tai had been groping for a long time, but not only did he get very little, he even cut his foot. He didn't know what he stepped on, but it cut him directly. It's all small clams and small sea snails, nothing else, Jianwen said with a bitter face. This is enough, right? I don't think we can catch anything more. Su Tai was already freezing cold. It was not midsummer, and the sunshine was not that strong. The sea water at night was icy cold and did not absorb much heat, so Su Tai had frozen to death long ago. If Jianwen hadn't been there, he would have run away long ago. Yet, this is enough for now. It's enough for 2 people. Give it to that naughty girl and Yao first. I can't take care of others, and Jianwen was also a human being, so he was naturally very cold. And Jianwen and Su Tai came ashore this morning and found that their catch was not bad. The two of them caught enough to fill a pot, which was enough to cook a pot of seafood soup. So Jianwen happily went to find Chu Mengyao with a small basin of seafood. Yao, I just caught a lot of seafood, all fresh, just out of the sea, and Jianwen said, and brought the seafood in front of Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu. However, before Chu Mengyao could say anything, Chen Yushu spoke first. What kind of seafood is this? Broken conchs and clams, so small, how can you eat them? These are all we have now, these are the only things we can catch from the sea now, and Jianwen secretly groaned in his heart, thinking that it took a lot of effort to salvage these broken conchs and clams. It's great to be able to catch these in the middle of the night. Oh, then you can eat it yourselves, we have big seafood, we don't need yours, Chen Yushu said, and took out a foam box from the trunk of the car. When he opened it, it was full of all kinds of seafood, everything you could imagine. Huh? And Jianwen widened his eyes. Who said you have to go to the sea to eat seafood? You went to catch it yourself, I didn't ask you to go. Chen Yushu rolled his eyes and looked at Jianwen with disdain. Me, and Jianwen really wanted to shout, he was fooled again. However, this was completely a dumb loss, he misunderstood, what does it have to do with Chen Yushu? She didn't ask him to catch it at all. He was just thinking too much brotherly. Let's grill seafood. Chen Yushu ignored Jianwen and happily carried a box of seafood to the front of Lin Yi's fire. At this moment, Lin Yi had set up the barbecue grill and was ready to start a picnic. And Jianwen stomped his feet in anger and went back with a small basin of conchs and clams. Brethren, why are you back? What does Chu Mengyao think? Are you touched that we go to catch seafood in the middle of the night? Su Tai was already far away and did not hear the previous conversation between Jianwen and Chen Yushu. I'm not touched at all, and Jianwen had already calmed down, but when Su Tai's ale brought it up again, he immediately flew into a rage. They have seafood, in boxes, bought from the supermarket, and we still have to go out to get it, what idiots. Then why didn't they tell me? Su Tai's ale was stunned, thinking that he had gone to the sea in vain and almost froze to death. Oh, it's also my fault for not asking. Although Jianwen felt that Chen Yushu had the intention of deliberately concealing the truth, he also blamed himself for not asking in enough details. He had suffered the loss twice. If he had asked them clearly at Chu Mengyao's house what they wanted to eat, he would have gone directly to the supermarket to buy it. If he had asked them clearly whether they had any seafood just now, he would not have had to go out to the sea to get seafood. Then brethren, what should we do now? Su Tai's ale asked. Eat it yourself, and Jianwen said depressedly, otherwise, it's all in vain. Lin Yi began to grill the seafood on the fire. The aroma spread to Jianwen and Su Tai's ale, making them salivate even more. Let's grill too, and Jianwen gritted his teeth and said, don't we have lamb skewers and chicken wings? They're no worse than theirs, that's right, I'll prepare them now. Su Tai's ale hurried to prepare, but when he had everything ready, he made a tragic discovery. The car battery was dead. He had used the headlights to catch seafood, but he forgot to start the car. The excessive power consumption directly caused the battery to be exhausted. Brethren, no. The car battery is dead. Su Tai's ale fiddled with the car for a while and shouted with a bitter face. Huh? It's out of power? What happened? Can you still do anything? And Jianwen said angrily. I accidentally forgot to keep the engine running before, Su Tai's ale said carefully. You? Forget it, and Jianwen wanted to curse, but he was too hungry now and had no energy to curse, so he had to wave his hand and said, doesn't this high-tech support manual power generation? You go and generate it manually. Me. Su Tai's ale took a look at the barbecue grill and found that it was a hand crank type. In other words, if you want to grill food, you must keep shaking the joystick with your hands. If you wait until the food is cooked, won't you be exhausted? Nonsense, if it's not you, then it's me, and Jianwen glared at him and said, hurry up, don't waste time. Isn't it just shaking a joystick? Just think of it as masturbation. Su Tai's ale had no choice but to walk over and start shaking the joystick quickly with his hands. Sure enough, bursts of heat came from the oven and flashed colorful light. Su Tai's ale couldn't help but get angry and said, who is the idiot who invented this? You work so hard to generate such a small amount of electricity, can't you use it in the right place? It even has a flashing light. How much of my sweat has been wasted? Stop dawdling, shake it, and Xuanyuan urged, flipping the skewers on the stove. However, Lin Yi was already enjoying the delicious barbecued seafood. How romantic. I didn't expect that Pengzhan Group would have this day, Pengzhan Group said to herself as she watched the various seafood delicacies sizzling and emitting fragrance on the fire. She thought that she would never have friendship and love in her life, but all of a sudden, she had everything. The friends Pengzhan Group had before were all friends she met through racing, not close friends at all. It was impossible for Pengzhan Group to go camping with them. Who knows if they had any bad intentions. The grilled oysters are ready. Lin Yi picked up a few oysters from the grill, put them on a plate and handed it to Chen Yushu who was waiting on the side. You guys eat first. Oh, it's ready to eat. Chen Yushu happily brought the plate to Chu Mengyao, Pengzhan Group and Tang Yun, put it on the beach, and then said, I'll go get some drinks. You guys eat first. I'll pick one for Lin Yi. Tang Yun picked up an oyster, picked out the meat, and handed it to Lin Yi. Chapter 1154 Pengzhan Group's Misunderstanding. Pengzhan Group secretly regretted why she was a step late and was beaten to the punch by Tang Yun. Oh, what a failure this little wife is. However, she was not willing to be outdone and followed Chen Yushu to the cart to get drinks, intending to bring them to Lin Yi. However, as soon as she walked to the side of the car, Chen Yushu threw the drinks in her arms into Pengzhan Group's hands, leaving only one can, and said, Here, take it. Huh? Pengzhan Group was stunned. Chen Yushu had already run away in the direction of Lin Yi. Chen Yushu ran quickly to Lin Yi, and after Tang Yun put the oyster meat into Lin Yi's mouth, she opened the can of drink and handed it to Lin Yi, smiling and said, Brother Wrigley, finish the oysters from your first wife, and then take a sip of your little wife's drink. Treacherous Shu, you are so wicked. I was just about to deliver drinks to my husband Lin Yi. Pengzhan Group was so angry that she was about to explode with a bunch of drinks in her arms. She glared at Chen Yushu. What kind of concubine are you? You haven't even been certified yet. You're just calling yourself that. I'm the legitimate concubine. So what? Who told you to be so slow? Chen Yushu shrugged. Pengzhan Group glared at Chen Yushu, speechless. Okay, then I'll give it to you. Chen Yushu thought for a moment and decided to give Pengzhan Group the opportunity. She felt that Pengzhan Group was almost dead, so what was the point in arguing with her? Chu Mengyao and Tang Yun, who had returned, exchanged glances, each catching a glimpse of a helpless, wry smile in the other's eyes. Pengzhan Group and Chen Yushu were truly a match made in heaven. They couldn't be happy without a few arguments every day. But once they got used to it, it became nothing. After all, neither of them had any ill intentions. It was just a verbal battle, not something that would harm either of them. After a delicious seafood barbecue, Lin Yi put out the fire and collected the food waste, placing it in a bag to take with them when they left. This wasn't a beach resort, so no one collected trash. Leaving it here would clearly damage the environment. As planned, Lin Yi and Pengzhan Group stayed in one tent, while Chu Mengyao, Chen Yushu, and Tang Yun occupied another. The two tents weren't too far from each other, but in the quiet seaside, if Lin Yi and Pengzhan Group did anything, the people in the other tent would likely hear. After dinner, Chu Mengyao and Tang Yun took Chen Yushu back to their tent, leaving Lin Yi and Pengzhan Group alone. Are we going back too? Lin Yi hesitated, the atmosphere tense and awkward. Yes, Pengzhan Group nodded, blushing. Now that the moment had come, she felt a wave of fear. Was the rumored event really going to happen tonight? Pengzhan Group felt a mixture of anticipation and shyness. Having decided to be with Lin Yi, Pengzhan Group naturally considered him her first, last, and only man of her life. Pengzhan Group's situation doesn't allow her to hesitate or consider. Once she makes up her mind, she must stick to it. Others may regret breaking up, but Pengzhan Group doesn't have time. In her mother's family, no one can escape the curse of fate. It has been like this for generations. Pengzhan Group doesn't expect to escape it at all. Therefore, she must be cautious in choosing a spouse. Once she has chosen, there is no room for regret. Even so, being alone in a tent with Lin Yi, Pengzhan Group still felt a little reserved. Although she seems to be quite bold at ordinary times, most girls will become hesitant and shy in such matters. What's wrong with you? Lin Yi also found that Pengzhan Group was not right. At this moment, Pengzhan Group was following him shyly, like a punching bag. This was a little different from the Pengzhan Xiao in the past. No, nothing. Pengzhan Xiao was actually struggling deep in her heart. She kept asking herself, do she like Lin Yi or not? Was she with him because she wanted revenge, or was she truly in love with him? Originally, Pengzhan Xiao didn't have so many entanglements. In her opinion, whether she was trying to trick Lin Yi or loving him, after sleeping with him, he would care about her more, and he would be even more sad when she died. But now, when the time came, Pengzhan Xiao couldn't help but hesitate again. After all, for every girl, the first time was very precious. Pengzhan Xiao's previous thoughts were just thoughts, but it was different when it came to actually doing it. Hey, what's wrong? Are you afraid that I'll eat you? Lin Yi made a joke when he saw the awkward atmosphere. However, the speaker had no intention, but the listener took it to heart. Lin Yi's very ordinary joke originally had no ambiguity, but in Pengzhan Xiao's ears, it was full of ambiguity. Generally speaking, the phrase "I'll eat you" is nothing, but the extended meaning is a bit ambiguous. If you have to find a specific explanation, it can be divided into 3 types. First, I'm hungry, and I want to eat you into my stomach. This is the original meaning. This situation often occurs between 2 animals of varying ferocity, one of varying ferocity, like a tiger saying to a goat, I want to eat you. Secondly, I'm not hungry, but I hate you, and I want to eat you to vent my hatred. This is an extended meaning. This often happens between 2 enemies, like when 2 people are fighting and one person says, I can't wait to eat you. Thirdly, I want to push you down. This is a popular meaning, and it's a very common one used online and in real life. This often happens between couples. The man, seeing the woman's alluring beauty, wants to push her down, but can't say it out loud, so he implicitly says, I want to eat you. Or, the woman, feeling deeply moved, wants to devote herself to her boyfriend, but is too embarrassed to say it out loud, so she says, eat me. The first and second options clearly seem inappropriate in this situation. Since Lin Yi and Pengzhan Xiao are a couple, Pengzhan Xiao naturally thought of the third option, and her face flushed. Me. Pengzhan Xiao didn't know what to say. Seeing Pengzhan Xiao's expression, Lin Yi couldn't help but be slightly stunned, and then he realized that his words might have been misunderstood. But in all conscience, Lin Yi really didn't mean that at the time. Lin Yi was just joking, meaning, I'm not a big tiger, are you afraid that I will eat you? But it was obvious that Pengzhan Xiao had misunderstood, and he wanted to explain, but he couldn't explain it clearly. He could only smile awkwardly. I was just joking. Let's go, the sea breeze is strong here, let's go back to the tent. Chapter 1155 Lin Yi's concerns. Yet, Pengzhan Xiao nodded, and entered the tent with Lin Yi. The atmosphere between the 2 of them outside was already ambiguous and awkward enough, but now inside, it felt even more uncomfortable. It wasn't like Lin Yi and Pengzhan Xiao hadn't had the opportunity to be alone together before. On the contrary, Pengzhan Xiao had been open and honest with them that time. But back then, Lin Yi and Pengzhan Xiao had no relationship at all. If anything, it was just classmates or deskmates. But now, they were a couple. While there was a mix of pretense and revenge involved in this relationship, no matter how it started, now that they both had feelings for each other, the situation was completely different. Zia Xiao, after eating seafood today, did you feel any discomfort? Lin Yi broke the awkwardness between them, changing the subject to something more serious. Of course, this was also something Lin Yi was worried about. After all, Pengzhan Xiao's last illness was caused by overeating. It's okay, I don't feel anything particularly uncomfortable. I didn't eat much this time. Pengzhan Xiao hadn't expected Lin Yi to show such concern for her, and a wave of warmth suddenly surged in her heart. Now that Lin Yi had treated her so well, could she possibly retaliate? Pengzhan Xiao's heart melted, yet she also felt a surge of fear. She feared her death would cause trouble for Lin Yi. At that moment, Pengzhan Xiao felt the urge to confess to Lin Yi, but the words were on the tip of her tongue, unable to come out. That's good. If you feel unwell, please tell me in advance so I can prepare, Lin Yi said. Yes, Pengzhan Xiao nodded, now less nervous than before. Then let's get some rest. We have a sunrise tomorrow morning, Lin Yi said. Shall I turn off the lights? The lights in the tent are rechargeable, and I'm afraid they'll run out. Yes, okay. Go to bed now, Feng Xiaoxiao paused for a moment before realizing that Lin Yi was going to sleep. She looked at him uncertainly. Was this rest really just a rest, or was it just the kind of thing a couple would do after turning off the lights? The sunrise at the beach is very early. If we don't get some rest, we won't be able to get up tomorrow morning, Lin Yi said. Oh, Feng Xiaoxiao couldn't discern Lin Yi's true meaning from his words, so she just hummed in agreement. Lin Yi casually turned off the tent light, and the tent suddenly became dark. Go to bed early, good night, Lin Yi said to Feng Xiaoxiao as he lay down. Feng Xiaoxiao was slightly taken aback. She hadn't expected that what Lin Yi meant by sleep was really just sleep. Lin Yi didn't seem to have any intention of removing his outer clothes, nor did he seem to want to move closer to her. This made Feng Xiaoxiao feel a little uneasy. She opened her eyes and looked at Lin Yi, who was lying on his back. Feng Xiaoxiao should have been nervous and excited, lying so close together, but she didn't feel that way. It seemed to her that Lin Yi had no intention of taking things any further. After waiting for a long time, with no reaction from Lin Yi, Feng Xiaoxiao cursed him for being a fool. A man and a woman alone in a tent, and he had no thoughts at all? She, a girl, had thoughts, so why didn't he? Husband Lin Yi, are you asleep? Feng Xiaoxiao finally couldn't help asking. Not yet, Lin Yi opened his eyes with a wry smile. In fact, Lin Yi is not Liu Xiaohu. Lin Yi does not have the magical power of sitting in a woman's arms to protect his body, but Lin Yi has a firm willpower that is different from ordinary people. There is no doubt that Lin Yi has feelings for Feng Xiaoxiao, but before he figures out how to deal with Feng Xiaoxiao's affairs, how can Lin Yi have the mood to do anything else with Feng Xiaoxiao? As his contact with Feng Xiaoxiao deepened, Lin Yi knew that he really had an inseparable feeling for this girl. But the more this happened, the more worried Lin Yi became. He didn't want Feng Xiaoxiao to die, but he was powerless. Outsiders called him Dr. Lin, and he had peerless magical skills like Xuanyuan Yulong Jue, but he was still helpless against Feng Xiaoxiao's illness. This is the sadness of a miracle doctor, right? There have been many such cases since ancient times. He has been treating people all his life, but he can't heal the people around him. Then let's talk? I can't sleep either. How could Feng Xiaoxiao feel sleepy at this moment? Lin Yi was right beside her. She was so excited and nervous that she didn't even want to sleep. What? Lin Yi turned his head. In the darkness, he couldn't see Feng Xiaoxiao's expression, but her bright eyes were clearly visible, and Lin Yi's heart was moved by love, pity, and even more resentment. Lin Yi wanted to save Feng Xiaoxiao's life, but he had no way. Can you tell me about what happened between you and my dad? You used to be my dad's colleague? And how are you now? Feng Xiaoxiao had always been deeply curious about Lin Yi's acquaintance with her father. Although Feng Xiaoxiao didn't know everything about her father's work, she knew a little bit. Most of his work was extremely dangerous, so how could Lin Yi and her father be old friends? However, judging by Lin Yi's impressive skills, it was possible. But then Feng Xiaoxiao was puzzled again. Her father's job was lifelong, so how could Lin Yi be a student? And even if Lin Yi could change his job, how old was he now? How could he be a colleague of her father? All this curiosity filled Feng Xiaoxiao with questions. Haha, there's nothing to say. I'm not from your father's side. I joined as a foreign aide, so I have more freedom and ease. Lin Yi smiled and shrugged. That's all I can say. Some things are subject to confidentiality regulations, I'm sure you understand. Oh, I see. Feng Xiaoxiao was a little disappointed, but she couldn't ask any more questions. Inside Xuanyuan and Su Tai's tent. At this moment, Su Tai's was using a telescope to monitor the two tents nearby, where Chu Mengyao and Lin Yi were. Originally, Xuanyuan had been monitoring them, but after a while, he found the task too boring and meaningless since he couldn't hear them talking, so he handed it over to Su Tai's. Brethren, based on my observations, Chu Mengyao is currently staying in one tent with Chen Yushu and Tang Yun, while Lin Yi is staying in another with Feng Xiaoxiao. They haven't come out since they entered the tent, Su Tai's reported his findings to Xuanyuan. Chapter 1156. The plan begins. Oh? So Lin Yi and Yao don't have any relationship anymore, and Xuanyuan was overjoyed after hearing Su Tai's words. That should be the case. There's no problem sleeping 5 people in their tent. If Lin Yi really has relationships with all of them, why did he go out and live alone with Feng Xiaoxiao? Su Taizao analyzed. Well, that makes sense. In other words, my chances are still quite large? Chu Mengyao actually doesn't like Lin Yi, but just uses him as a shield, and Xuanyuan thought about it, and suddenly slapped his thigh and said, yes, I finally understand why that girl Chen Yushu called Lin Yi Brother Arrow. They must have used Lin Yi as a shield. In fact, they have nothing to do with Lin Yi at all. Brethren, you are really a god. You have come up with such wonderful reasoning. You can be a detective. You are the famous detective Almos. Su Taizao immediately felt that, and Xuanyuan's words were very reasonable. I said, no matter how fierce Chu Pengzhan is, it is impossible for him to betroth his daughter to Lin Yi when Lin Yi has a girlfriend. Isn't this crazy? If Lin Yi is a rich family kid, it's fine, but what's so great about a lousy bodyguard? Great. This trip today was not in vain. I believe that as long as I keep working hard, I will definitely win Chu Mengyao's heart, and Xuanyuan is full of fighting spirit at this moment. Let's start our plan A. Plan A? Now, Su Taizao was stunned, but the executor of the plan, Yang Ganglao, is not here. He is not here, but you are here, right? You can't execute it? The plan was decided by the three of us, and now you take over, and Xuanyuan frowned and ordered. Oh, but it's so dark, I'm a little scared to be alone. Su Taizao looked outside the tent. It was pitch black, there was no light except the moonlight, and it was scary on this empty beach. Are you kidding me? You are pretending to be a ghost. It's others who are afraid of you, right? You are still afraid. What is there to be afraid of? Others will not be able to run away when they see you, and Xuanyuan said hatefully, why are you so cowardly? Okay then. Su Taizao could only nod his head. Now that Yang Ganglao was not here, he couldn't let Xuanyuan pretend to be a ghost, right? In the plan, Xuanyuan was going to catch ghosts and perform his duty as a hero to save the beauty. If he asked him to pretend to be a ghost, who would save the beauty? Thinking of this, Su Taizao had to tiptoe out of the tent and head to the trunk of the car to prepare. At that moment, inside the tent of Chu Mengyao, Chen Yushu, and Tang Yun, the three women were applying facial masks. This was Tang Yun's first time enjoying something like this, and she felt a mixture of novelty and anticipation. She had never used the mask before, and her family's financial situation didn't allow her to afford such a luxury. That cool feeling is so strange, Tang Yun said curiously, touching her masked face. That's not fair. You've never used the mask before, so how come your skin is so good? Sister Yao and I use masks regularly, and we're only about as good as you. Chen Yushu looked at Tang Yun's face with a hint of frustration, studying the area of her neck uncovered by the mask. We're young now, so it's natural to not notice anything. When we get older, I won't be as good as you. Tang Yun smiled, but there was a hint of disappointment in her smile. It's not too late now. If you start taking care of your skin with us now, I guess your skin won't be any worse in the future, right? The eldest lady sensed the disappointment in Tang Yun's words and quickly explained. Tang Yun sighed slightly. This thing is very expensive. I can't afford it. Although Tang Yun felt a little embarrassed when she said these words, she was not the kind of person who would swell her face to pretend to be rich. If she has no money, she has no money. So what if she is poor? Brother Wrigley is rich. He has opened a pharmaceutical company now. He will be a millionaire in the future. My future source of income depends on him. Aren't you the first wife? Why are you not as good as the second wife? Chen Yushu said. It's not easy for him to make money. Although Tang Yun knew that Lin Yi was rich, it would take time for her to change her mindset. I think it's quite easy. The eldest lady who had been silent all the time spoke. Puff. Tang Yun was amused by the eldest lady's words. It seems that it is really much easier for Lin Yi to make money than Daddy. Chu Mengyao said seriously. How much is the total asset of Daddy's company now? But when Lin Yi's company just started, it had a cash flow of hundreds of millions. This concept was too far-fetched for Tang Yun. She had never come into contact with so much money. It was an astronomical figure, something Tang Yun had never thought about before. Not to mention hundreds of millions, even tens of thousands would be a huge sum of money for Tang Yun's family. When she was with Lin Yi before, she had never thought about how much money he would have, and the same was true now. She had never thought about coveting Lin Yi's money. Let's talk about this later. Tang Yun shook her head. By the way, Sister Yunayan, aren't you jealous when you see Feng Xiaoxiao and Arrow brother together? Chen Yushu saw Feng Xiaoxiao calling Tang Yun Sister Yunayan, so she followed suit. No, Tang Yun shook her head. You're so generous. Chen Yushu looked at Tang Yun, trying to produce evidence that she was lying. How can you be as generous as you? You keep clamoring to be his concubine, Tang Yun retorted. It was just a joke back then, the eldest lady said, her face flushing. Xiaoshu and I said that back then because we were worried about Lin Yi's safety. Actually, that's not the case anymore, Sister Yao. Why don't you admit it? Didn't you say you liked Wrigley? Chen Yushu frantically replied. When did I say that? I said I didn't like him, Chu Mengyao corrected her. Really? Did I remember it wrong? Chen Yushu scratched her head, feeling somewhat frustrated. Well, how can I be a concubine in the future? Tang Yun had a good idea of the eldest lady's personality after their recent interactions. She knew she was a bit of a hypocrite and a face-saver, so she didn't take it seriously. As Lin Yi's girlfriend, Tang Yun was the most sensitive and aware of Chu Mengyao's feelings for Lin Yi. However, since the eldest lady didn't admit it, there was no need for Tang Yun to expose her directly. At least right now, everything the eldest lady showed towards her was goodwill, not hostility, so Tang Yun didn't feel comfortable saying anything. Everything depends on your own strength and Lin Yi's choice. If Lin Yi really chooses Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu instead of yourself, then Tang Yun can do nothing about it. Chapter 1157 Who Scares Whom? Although Lin Yi has expressed his feelings to Tang Yun more than once, Tang Yun always feels that Lin Yi is too outstanding and she feels uneasy. Especially when she can't help Lin Yi in any way, Tang Yun feels that she is just a vase, good-looking but useless. Let's not talk about this, Chu Mengyao shook her head. It's May 1st already, and there is only a month left before the college entrance examination. Tang Yun, which university do you want to apply to? I don't know either, Tang Yun shook her head, but whichever university Lin Yi applies to, I will apply to the same one. What about you? Chu Mengyao pursed her lips. She naturally wanted to be in the same university as Lin Yi, but she had said before that she didn't like Lin Yi. Since they didn't like each other anymore, why bother to get together? How about we both apply to the same university? We are all good friends, and we can take care of each other in the future. Tang Yun's heart ached slightly. Sure enough, Chu Mengyao was still interested in Lin Yi. However, Tang Yun wasn't the type to resort to underhanded tactics to undermine her rivals. She preferred to be forthright. So, sensing Chu Mengyao's intentions, she took the initiative and invited her. Yeah, that's fine. I don't have many friends besides Xiaoshu, you and Lin Yi. Chu Mengyao nodded, her expression relaxed. What are Lin Yi and Xiaoxio doing right now? Chen Yushu suddenly asked. How would we know? The young lady frowned. The thought of Lin Yi doing that with another girl made Chu Mengyao feel uncomfortable. Even though Feng Xiaoxio was dying, she still felt a little conflicted. Of course, it was just a conflict. Intellectually, she still supported Feng Xiaoxio and Lin Yi being together. Oh, then, do you want to send Spy Shu to help you investigate and see what they're doing? Chen Yushu suggested, glancing slyly outside the tent. You can go if you want, but we're not sending you. After hearing Chen Yushu's words, Chu Mengyao also wanted to know what Lin Yi and Feng Xiaoxio were doing, but she was too embarrassed to say it. I don't know. I won't participate. Tang Yun shook her head. Oh, then I'll be back soon. Chen Yushu was a little impatient. With her personality, she wouldn't be Chen Yushu if she didn't go to take a peek at this moment. Chu Mengyao and Tang Yun looked at each other. Tang Yun actually cared about Lin Yi the most, but since she already knew what they might do and had accepted it in her heart, it didn't matter whether she went to see it or not. As for Chu Mengyao, she couldn't follow Chen Yushu to join in the fun. If she did, wouldn't it mean that she cared about Lin Yi? She didn't care about him at all. Chen Yushu tiptoed out of the tent and walked stealthily towards Lin Yi's tent. Suit Tai had already put on a black raincoat and rubber gloves on his hands. He walked towards Chu Mengyao's tent in fear. And Jianwen was already prepared. The moment Chu Mengyao screamed, he flew to rescue her. In his opinion, Lin Yi and Feng Xiaoniu must be doing something shameful. If Chu Mengyao calls for help at this time, he will definitely not have time to be distracted, and the burden of being a hero and saving the beauty will fall on himself. Suit Taizao was very scared. Although he was pretending to be a ghost, he was even more afraid of encountering a ghost. He was just a fake ghost, and he knew it very well. In this dark place, if he encountered a real ghost, it would be a disaster. Heaven and earth, please don't let me encounter a ghost, Su Taizao walked forward while chanting a spell. After Chen Yashu came out of the tent, she saw a black shadow sneaking out of the tent wherein Xuanyuan was. It looked sneaky and no one knew what it was going to do. So, Chen Yashu was not in a hurry to see Lin Yi and Pengzhan Group. She lay down on the beach to pretend to be on the beach, wanting to see what the black shadow was going to do. Su Taizao was scared. How could he dare to look around? Moreover, Chen Yashu's camouflage skills were also very good. If she was lying on the beach without paying special attention, no one would see her. Is this Xuanyuan or Su Taizao? What does he want to do? Why is he wearing a raincoat? It's not raining. Is he going diving? Chen Yashu muttered to herself strangely, but her eyes were fixed on Su Taizao. Su Taizao walked forward carefully, step by step, and looked back from time to time, afraid that something was following him. What kind of weird idea did this Yang Ganglao come up with? He didn't come himself, so I have to pretend to be a ghost. It's really scary. Su Taizao gritted his teeth tremblingly, wanting to complete the task as soon as possible. Seeing Su Taizao passing not far in front of him and continuing to walk towards his tent, Chen Yashu decided to ask this guy what he wanted to do. So, Chen Yashu got scared from the beach, ran behind Su Taizao, and patted him on the shoulder. What the hell are you patting me on? Su Taizao's body tensed up all of a sudden. He had been looking back every few steps along the way, and there was no one behind him. If someone patted him at this time, what could it be? It's you, right? And Jen, don't scare me, it must be you, Su Taizao subconsciously asked weakly. And Jen, I'm timid, please don't scare me. If you scare me, how can I pretend to be a ghost to scare Chu Mengyao? Chen Yashu was also sure at this time that the person in front of her was Su Taizao, but she didn't expect that Su Taizao was so timid. Moreover, listening to Su Taizao's words, this guy turned out to be going to scare Sister Yao. No wonder this guy was wearing a raincoat, and put the hood of the raincoat on his head, and had rubber gloves on his hands. It turned out that he was going to pretend to be a ghost. Aren't you pretending to be a ghost? Okay, then I'll pretend to be a ghost to scare you first. Chen Yashu didn't say anything, but just stretched out his hand and patted Su Taizao's shoulder again, and then quickly stuck out his tongue. And Jen, what are you doing? Why don't you say anything? Su Taizao turned around carefully, but when he saw it, his hair was blown up. A female ghost in white with a pale face was standing behind him with her tongue sticking out. At this moment, Chen Yashu had a white mask on her face, and she was wearing a white nightgown, with her tongue sticking out. Wasn't this exactly like the legendary female ghost? Especially under the moonlight, it was impossible to see clearly. Su Taizao had always had ghosts in his mind, and was worried about encountering some unclean things along the way. Now seeing Chen Yashu like this, he was even more scared. Ah, ghost, there's a ghost, Su Taizao screamed and ran forward. Chen Yashu, on the other hand, smiled slyly and raised her hand to make a victory sign. This Su Taizao is really timid. With his courage, he dared to come out and pretend to be a ghost? Chapter 1158, Scary Everywhere. Seeing that Chen Yashu had been out for ages with no sign of her return, Chu Mengyao and Tang Yun were suddenly filled with worry and anxiety. While the beach shouldn't be dangerous, it was still dark in the middle of the night. What if something unexpected happened? Even though the eldest lady sometimes scolded Xiaoshu, she still cared deeply for her. Yunayan, Xiaoshu's been out for so long, why hasn't she come back yet? Chu Mengyao asked worriedly. Yet, I hope nothing's happened. Tang Yun was also a little worried. Although she considered Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu rivals in love, she also considered them good friends. On a separate note, if she had hoped something bad would happen to them, she wouldn't have called Lin Yi to get Chu Mengyao's help. How about I go out and take a look? Chu Mengyao hesitated. I'll go with you. Tang Yun started to sit up. No, I'd better go alone. What if Xiaoshu and I get lost and she comes back first and sees no one in the tent? She'll be worried about us, Chu Mengyao said with a wave of her hand. That's right, then I'll wait here. Be careful. Tang Yun felt that what Chu Mengyao said made sense, so she nodded. Chu Mengyao pushed open the tent and went out, but just after taking a few steps forward, she saw a dark figure running towards her. While running, he was shouting, "Ghost, there's a ghost, I'm scared to death." Chu Mengyao was really scared. Chu Mengyao also screamed subconsciously. Su Taizao didn't dare to look back and ran forward desperately. He felt that he was so unlucky. He went out pretending to be a ghost, but he met a real ghost. This was terrible. Did his behavior involve vilification in disguise of a ghost? Was he discovered by the ghost, and was he angry with him? Su Taizao ran out of breath, fearing that the ghost would eat him. But after running and running, he didn't run far before he heard a horrifying scream not far in front of him. Su Taizao instinctively looked up and saw the white-faced, white-robed female ghost who had been behind him reappear not far in front of him, blocking his way. Oh my god, Su Taizao was terrified. How could this ghost move so fast? He didn't even see what was happening, and she had already teleported in front of him. But then he thought, she's a ghost, it's normal for her to drift, and of course she's faster than him. Obviously, Su Taizao mistook Chu Mengyao for Chen Yushu from before. However, under the moonlight, in his panic, it was hard to tell who was who. They were all wearing white pajamas and white face masks. Although the previous Chen Yushu was not as tall as Chu Mengyao, Su Taizao didn't notice these details. He naturally mistook Chu Mengyao for the ghost from before, and his fear was even greater. Panicking, he saw a tent not far ahead, the tent of Chu Mengyao, Chen Yushu, and Tang Yun. Su Taizao immediately felt a surge of energy, his whole body filled with strength. He didn't even bother pretending to be a ghost to scare Chu Mengyao. His only thought at the moment was to quickly run to Chu Mengyao's tent for shelter. As a grown man, he didn't care about being laughed at or not. He would rather take shelter behind the three girls. Chu Mengyao was also stunned by Su Taizao's behavior. Although she was also quite scared, a dark figure suddenly ran over in the middle of the night, and no one knew what he was doing. Anyone would be scared. But when Chu Mengyao heard the person's loud shouting, she carefully distinguished the voice and recognized it from Su Taizao. Chu Mengyao was no longer afraid. What was so scary about Su Taizao? However, his shouting was a little unbelievable. Ghost? Is there a ghost? Su Taizao was shouting about ghosts, etc. Chu Mengyao subconsciously looked behind Su Taizao, which was directly in front of her. Where was the ghost? Only Xiaoshu was waving happily at her not far away. Chen Yushu ran towards Chu Mengyao, laughing so hard that she fell backwards and laughed so hard that she even walked unsteadily. Xiaoshu, what kind of trick are you playing? What happened to Su Taizao just now? Although Chu Mengyao didn't know why Su Taizao was running around like a madman, she intuitively felt that it must have been Xiaoshu's doing, especially the way Xiaoshu looked at the moment. It was clearly her doing, otherwise why would she be laughing? Sister Yao, do I look like a female ghost? Chen Yushu stuck out her tongue and said, oh, I'm a ghost, Pucci. Chu Mengyao couldn't help but laugh too. She finally understood why Su Taizao ran away. It turned out that he was scared by Chen Yushu. She couldn't help but suddenly say, I was wondering why he got even more scared after seeing me. Turns out he thought I was a ghost too, haha. Yeah, Sister Yao, we're such good sisters. You're so cooperative, Chen Yushu nodded with a grin. I guess Su Tai thought I could teleport and floated right in front of him. Hey, where's Su Tai? Yeah, it seems he ran into our tent. Chu Mengyao was startled and quickly said, will he scare Yunayan? Oh, he ran into the tent? That's going to be something interesting. I wonder if Sister Yunayan can cooperate. Chen Yushu's eyes lit up. Cooperate? Chu Mengyao was slightly taken aback. Yeah, we can find out now and see if Sister Tang Yun can be our sister and play together in the future. Chen Yushu nodded and said seriously. When Chen Yushu said this, Chu Mengyao seemed to have heard something. Xiaoshu's reference to sisters might have another meaning. Chu Mengyao coughed twice and said, Xiaoshu, stop talking nonsense. Let's go check it out. Don't scare Tang Yun. Su Taizao finally ran into Chu Mengyao's tent. He thought, I'm finally home, safe. So, he breathed a sigh of relief and shouted, great, I'm home. Su Taizao's sudden visit actually scared Tang Yun. If Su Taizao hadn't spoken, Tang Yun wouldn't have known he was Su Taizao. The light in the tent was even dimmer than outside. Tang Yun didn't understand why Su Taizao had suddenly appeared in her tent, but where were Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu? Tang Yun stared at Su Taizao in confusion. After taking a breath, Su Taizao also raised his head. He was about to say something, but when he looked up, he suddenly saw Tang Yun not far away. He was immediately shocked. Oh my god, Why did a ghost run into the tent again? Su Taizao was shocked, thinking to himself, isn't this Chu Mengyao, Chen Yushu and Tang Yun's tent? Why aren't they here? Instead, there's a female ghost waiting in the tent. What's going on? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1159 Unintentional Cooperation. Could it be that he had encountered the legendary ghost wall? This tent was simply an illusion created by the female ghost, and it was not Chu Mengyao's tent? He had actually been under the control of the female ghost and had never escaped. Thinking of this, Su Taizao was even more terrified and frightened. He turned around and stumbled out of the tent. Screaming, he ran towards Xuanyuan's tent. He was really scared. Poor Su Taizao, he already had a bad wedding problem, and after continuous fright, Su Taizao wet his pants again. Ghost, there's a ghost. Su Taizao waved his hands and ran desperately. Ha ha ha, Chen Yushu couldn't help but burst into laughter as she watched Su Taizao run out of the tent. It seems that Sister Yunayan is still very cooperative. Su Taizao must be scared to death, right? Sister Yao, you and Sister Tang Yun really cooperated with me. Chu Mengyao was suddenly a little amused. In the past, Pengzhan cooperated with Chen Yushu to play pranks, but this time, she and Tang Yun unintentionally cooperated with Xiaoshu and tricked Su Taizao. Okay, let's go see Tang Yun. Chu Mengyao shook her head helplessly and walked towards the tent. But at this time, Tang Yun was also confused by Su Taizao's behavior. Su Taizao ran out of the tent, and she followed him out of the tent. Su Taizao didn't see it, but saw Yao and Xiaoshu walking back. Yao, Xiaoshu, you're back. Tang Yun breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing the two. It seems Su Tai arrived earlier. Did you see him? Why is he acting so crazy? He looks like he's seen a ghost. Tang Yun's bewilderment made Chen Yushu burst into laughter. Haha, Sister Tang Yun, do we look like ghosts to you? Chen Yushu asked with a smile. Tang Yun was stunned, but then looked at Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu's outfits, then at herself, and couldn't help but say, Xiaoshu, you mean, Su Tai didn't mistake the three of us for ghosts, right? Yeah, that seems to be the case. Chen Yushu nodded. Oh my god, Tang Yun slapped her forehead. Why is he so stupid? I don't know, but thank you Sister Tang Yun for cooperating with me to pretend to be a ghost, Chen Yushu said. Tang Yun couldn't help but feel a little helpless. She wasn't the type to play around, like Chen Yushu, constantly pranking others. It wasn't her hobby. She'd just unknowingly helped Chen Yushu out today. However, Tang Yun didn't see anything wrong with it. After all, it had deepened their relationship, which was a good thing. Tang Yun used to be very cautious, so she didn't have many friends, only Liu Xinwen and Xiaofan, which was somewhat similar to a young lady. So now, Tang Yun got along well with Chen Mengyao and Chen Yushu, and she hoped their friendship would continue. It was a rare relationship. As they aged and entered society, such pure, unadulterated friendships would become increasingly difficult. Meanwhile, Xuanyuan couldn't sit still anymore and had already bolted from his tent. He was expecting Su Tai to pretend to be a ghost and scare Chu Mengyao so he could rescue her. He had a good idea. Lin Yi and Pengzhan were flirting, so how could he have time for Chu Mengyao and the others? At this time, as a grown man, he would play a role. When the time comes, he and Chu Mengyao will spend a good night together. Even if nothing happens, it will enhance their relationship. However, as soon as Su Taizao went out, he suddenly shouted that there was a ghost or something like that. And Xuanyuan was depressed. How could you pretend to be a ghost like that? Would a ghost shout there by itself? Who would be afraid of you when you're like this? So Xuanyuan became more and more angry. He turned around and ran out of the tent and ran towards Chu Mengyao's tent. He kept complaining in his heart that Su Taizao was really incompetent and could only cause trouble. What was the point of pretending to be a ghost? Everything was ruined. However, before he ran far, he saw Su Taizao rushing towards him at an extremely fast speed. Before Xuanyuan could react, Su Taizao had already pounced on him. Brethren, I'm so scared. There's a ghost. There's a powerful female ghost that can teleport. Su Taizao hugged Xuanyuan and refused to let go, as if he had found a savior, and had no intention of letting go. What are you doing? You're hugging me to death, and Xuanyuan was furious and wanted to push Su Taizao off him. Chu Mengyao, Chen Yusu, and Tang Yun also rushed over after hearing the news, wanting to see what was going on. Over there, Lin Yi and Pengzhan Group were also alarmed by the noise outside. The two of them also came out of the tent and ran towards the place where the accident happened. Brethren, I'm so scared, there's a ghost here, let's go, Su Taizao shouted with a sad face. Ghost? Where is the ghost? Didn't I tell you to pretend to be a ghost? If you don't pretend to be a ghost, why are you howling here? And Xuanyuan roared angrily. I wanted to pretend to be a ghost, but maybe my behavior angered a real ghost, so I met a real ghost on the road. This real ghost was so scary, with a pale face, a white robe on his body, and he stuck out his tongue and made a whining sound, which was so scary. Su Taizao said, the female ghost can also teleport. She was originally behind me, but when I ran forward a few steps, I found that the female ghost ran in front of me again. This ghost is really powerful and can teleport. Before I could see clearly what was going on, the female ghost suddenly ran in front of me. I was scared to death. What nonsense are you talking about here? There is no female ghost, and Xuanyuan became furious after listening to Su Taizao's incoherent words. It's true, and Jen, you don't know. Later, I thought, this female ghost is too powerful, so I will go to Chu Mengyao's tent to take refuge, even if I am laughed at, it doesn't matter. So I ran to Chu Mengyao's tent, but in Jack, guess what? I encountered a ghost wall again, Su Taizao said in horror. Inside Chu Mengyao's tent, there was a female ghost sitting, and the female ghost actually ran into the tent again. When I entered the tent, I clearly remember that the female ghost was outside the tent, but when I entered the tent, the female ghost was actually inside. Do you think all this was all transformed by the female ghost? It's too scary. As soon as Su Taizao finished speaking, there was a burst of laughter. It turned out to be the laughter of Chen Yusu and Pengzhan Group. Chapter 1160 Yes or No. Chu Mengyao and Tang Yun couldn't help but laugh, though not as heartily as Chen Yushu and Pengzhan Group. Ho ha ho ha, Su Taizao, you're such a fool, Chen Yushu laughed, pointing at him and saying, woo woo woo, a ghost is coming. Scare you to death, and Xuanyuan hadn't expected Chu Mengyao and the others to come along. Then, taking a look at their attire, he suddenly realized something. Could it be that Su Taizao, that fool, had actually mistaken them for ghosts? They were dressed in white pajamas, with face masks on their faces. At first glance, they looked a bit like ghosts. And Xuanyuan must have recognized Chen Yushu's voice. If he hadn't, he'd probably have been startled too. But being startled was no small matter, but he couldn't be so utterly frightened. At this thought, and Xuanyuan was filled with rage and shame. His subordinate had truly embarrassed him, mistaking them for ghosts. Open your eyes and look, where are the ghosts here? These are Chu Mengyao, Chen Yushu and Tang Yun, where are the ghosts? Where are the ghosts? And Xuanyuan shouted angrily. Su Taizao was slightly stunned, raised his head, and saw Chu Mengyao, Tang Yun and Chen Yushu, and suddenly shuddered all over. Why are there 3 ghosts? Brethren, aren't these ghosts? They have become 3 ghosts, Su Taizao said. What 3 ghosts? I told you. These are Chu Mengyao, Tang Yun and Chen Yushu, and Xuanyuan explained with a frown. This, Su Taizao was slightly stunned, and after a closer look, it was just as Xuanyuan said, these were not ghosts, but Chu Mengyao, Chen Yushu and Tang Yun. It's just that the 3 of them were wearing white pajamas and had facial masks on their faces, which made it easy for people to misunderstand them as ghosts. Woo woo woo, I'm a ghost. Chen Yushu stuck out his tongue and turned back to his previous appearance. Huh? Su Taizao finally breathed a sigh of relief, letting go of Xuanyuan and getting off him. He patted his chest and said, so it's you, Yao Iao and Xiaoshu. Haha, I was just joking with you. It's pointless to spend a long, sleepless night, isn't it? Oh, I understand, Chen Yushu said, looking at Su Taizao with a smile, but this I understand was filled with contempt. Su Taizao, what did you get on me? It's so wet? What's that smell? Why is it so smelly? Did you wet your pants? And Xuanyuan suddenly screamed, jumping up and down in place, shaking off the wetness. Wow, brother Taizao, You're still wetting the bed at this age? Chen Yushu said sarcastically, remembering the scene when they played Truth or Dare. How could I wet the bed? I just wet my pants. No. Not my pants. I didn't pee. Su Taizao blushed and danced in defense. Ha ha ha, Chen Yushu laughed without saying anything. Okay, Xiaoshu, let's go back and rest. It's getting late. Don't we have to get up tomorrow to watch the sunrise? Chu Mengyao also smelled a strange smell and didn't want to stay here any longer. Haha, okay, Chen Yushu made a face at Su Taizao. Oh, please don't dream about me tonight, or you'll scare the hell out of you and wet the bed again. Su Taizao shuddered, thinking, yeah, I must not have a nightmare, or I'll wet the bed again, and that would be so embarrassing. Suddenly embarrassed, how can that be? I haven't wet the bed for a long time. No. I have never wet the bed, haha, let's go. Chen Yushu said nothing more, and turned around with Chu Mengyao and Tang Yun, preparing to leave. Xiaoshu. Why didn't you call me when you played a prank on me? Feng Xiaoxiao felt a little regretful that she hadn't seen how Su Taizao was tricked. Just from his description, it was already very interesting, let alone witnessing the whole process. You're flirting with Brother Arrow, how could I possibly bother you? Chen Yushu grinned at Feng Xiaoxiao and said, how far have you gotten? Tell me, I can't tell you, it's a private secret, Feng Xiaoxiao said, shaking her head mysteriously. You're not still a virgin, are you? Chen Yushu looked Feng Xiaoxiao up and down and said fiercely. How is that possible? Who said I am? I'm not a virgin anymore. You're still a virgin, right? What, are you jealous of me? Feng Xiaoxiao argued, thinking, if I say it's not a virgin, how can you tell? Me? Why would I envy you? I wasn't a virgin a long time ago, even before you, Chen Yushu said, I'm Brother Arrow's first woman, everyone brags, Feng Xiaoxiao snorted. You must be, otherwise how could you walk so smoothly? They say on TV that after the first time, your legs and feet become unsteady, Chen Yushu shook her head. On TV? You know it's on TV? So you don't have any experience at all? Didn't you lose it a long time ago? Why would you watch TV if you've experienced it yourself? Feng Xiaoxiao retorted. I fell asleep right after I was done, and I recovered the next day. It's different from your situation, Chen Yushu said with a turn of the eyes. Chu Mengyao and Tang Yun smiled bitterly and shook their heads at each other. These two really are the ones who argue about everything. It's not a glorious thing, and they're still taking it too seriously. Alright, both of you. Xiaoxiao, go back to sleep. Are you going to watch the sunrise tomorrow morning? Lin Yi also smiled bitterly and tried to prove his innocence. Don't be so blatant, right? I didn't do anything, so how could they not be? Chen Yushu and Feng Xiaoxiao were exposed at the same time. They both blushed and laughed dryly at each other. Feng Xiaoxiao said, I won't be any more in a while, I won't be any more sooner or later, Chen Yushu said. Lin Yi was a little speechless and quickly left with Feng Xiaoxiao. The eldest lady also dragged Xiaoshu and Tang Yun back to rest, leaving Xuanyuan and Su Taizao alone. Why is Lin Yi so popular? Two girls like him, Su Taizao said with some envy. Two? Would you dare to take these two if I gave you these? You're scared to death by making a face mask, and if I marry her, won't you be scared to death? And Xuanyuan snorted and said, this Feng Xiaoxiao is probably the same kind of person as Chen Yushu. You have to be careful in the future, don't fall into her trap. It must be said that Xuanyuan's vision of people is still very accurate. He can tell at a glance that Feng Xiaoxiao is also one of the mischievous ones. People like this must not be offended, otherwise the future will be troublesome. Chapter 1161 A Deep Brand. That's true. We must not take it lightly, Su Taizao nodded and said, thank goodness Feng Xiaoxiao didn't get involved, otherwise I would have been in such a miserable state. Okay, stop wasting time and go take a shower. And Xuanyuan waved his hand in dissatisfaction and snorted, you've made me so dirty all over. How old are you, and you still wet your pants? Up, don't mention it, brethren, I'm embarrassed, Su Taizao said with a red face. If you're embarrassed, just go take a shower. What are you waiting for? And Xuanyuan said, and walked towards the beach. It's not about waiting for something, brethren, it's too dark, I don't dare to go, Su Taizao said hesitantly. I'm going with you, and you don't dare to go? What are you afraid of? And Xuanyuan said angrily. I'm afraid of ghosts. I'm still a little scared after watching the scene just now, Su Taizao said weakly. What ghosts are there? Didn't I tell you? There aren't any ghosts. Where are the ghosts? Those are Chu Mengyao, Chen Yushu, and Tang Yun. Are you crazy? And Jianwen said, if you don't want to shower, then don't sleep in the tent tonight. Stay outside, then I'd better shower, Su Tai thought. Wouldn't it be even scarier to stay outside the tent at night? He might as well get a shower now that he's a little scared. Nothing happened at night. The next morning, Lin Yi opened his eyes. Although he practiced in his dreams every day, Lin Yi had mastered jet lag. Even in his dreams, he maintained contact with the outside world. Many people couldn't control their dreams, but Lin Yi could. In his dreams, within the jade pendant space, reality was almost identical to Lin Yi's. Xia Oxeo, wake up. Let's go watch the sunrise, Lin Yi said softly, gently patting the sleeping Pengzhan Oxeo in his arms. Last night, Lin Yi and Pengzhan Oxeo slept separately. Perhaps out of reserve, Pengzhan Oxeo didn't make any bold moves after returning home. Despite her bold words with Chen Yushu yesterday, she was a bit shy again after returning home. Pengzhan Oxeo was, after all, a naive girl. She might talk, but she wouldn't do anything. In the cold of the night, Pengzhan Oxeo naturally slipped into Lin Yi's arms. Lin Yi didn't push her away, but held her until now. Pengzhan Oxeo was soundly asleep when Lin Yi woke her. She opened her eyes, still a little dazed. Is it time? Time for breakfast. Pengzhan Oxeo suddenly stood up from Lin Yi's arms and paced around the tent, muttering, where's the oven? Why is it gone? Lin Yi looked at Pengzhan Oxeo, feeling warm and touched. Pengzhan Oxeo had been making breakfast for Lin Yi every morning for a while now. It was obvious that she had formed a habit of getting up and turning on the oven as soon as the alarm went off. After finally getting out to relax and have some fun, Pengzhan Oxeo still treated this place like home. Xia Oxeo, we're at the beach. Lin Yi stood up and hugged Pengzhan Oxeo. This was the first time Lin Yi had actively hugged Pengzhan Oxeo, and the image of this girl had already been deeply imprinted in his heart. Huh? Pengzhan Oxeo rubbed her sleepy eyes, finally realizing, and suddenly felt a little embarrassed. I thought I was at home. I was so sleepy. Don't make those heartwarming breakfasts anymore. Get some rest. It hurts me to see you like this, Lin Yi said, looking at Pengzhan Oxeo, word by word. Lin Yi's deep affection surprised Pengzhan Oxeo, but also a little uncomfortable. Pengzhan Oxeo believed that Lin Yi's feelings for her might be true, but being with her was more about the bet between Tang Yun and her. But at this moment, Pengzhan Oxeo could read the deep love in Lin Yi's eyes. Lin Yi truly loved her. For a moment, Pengzhan Oxeo felt a little melancholy. Pengzhan Oxeo's original intention was just to make Lin Yi fall in love with her, and then she would get rid of Lin Yi. This was a kind of revengeful mentality. Although at this moment, this mentality has been buried in Pengzhan Oxeo's heart and no longer mentioned, but Pengzhan Oxeo's terminal illness is real. Regardless of whether it is revenge or not, Lin Yi will definitely be sad the moment she leaves, and that is not what Pengzhan Oxeo wants to see. Why are you so good to me? Pengzhan Oxeo was a little scared. This time, she felt deeply guilty. She felt that she was playing with fire, but she couldn't stop. How can you just play with feelings and forget about it? You treat me well, and I will treat you well too. Love is mutual. Lin Yi smiled. Aren't we going to watch the sunrise? A little later, the sun will come out. Pengzhan Oxeo responded, thinking, should I confess to Lin Yi? However, Pengzhan Oxeo was also a little afraid. She was afraid that if she confessed to Lin Yi, he would get angry and leave her in a rage. Pengzhan Oxeo was reluctant to give up this hard-earned love. She was very conflicted and entangled. Last night, did you hold me to sleep? Pengzhan Oxeo changed the subject. These headaches were getting worse the more she thought about them. It was better not to think about them. Yet, Lin Yi nodded. You? Pengzhan Oxeo bit her lip, her face flushed slightly. Finally, she said, do you want me? Actually, I can do it now. I've already thought about it. Huh? Lin Yi was stunned. I want to be your woman. Pengzhan Oxeo stopped being coy this time and said firmly. She thought that giving herself to Lin Yi was a kind of compensation to him. In this kind of thing, Lin Yi was taking advantage. Even though she was going to die, she was still a virgin after all. In the past, when Pengzhan Oxeo was hanging out with those bad boys, Hadn't they used this as a topic of conversation in pride? They competed with each other to see who had slept with the most virgins, the number of women they had been with, etc. Lin Yi's heart moved, but he said calmly, "Let's talk about this when we get back. Let's go watch the sunrise first. If we delay any longer, we may not be able to see it." "Yeah." Pengzhan nodded with a red face, feeling a little indignant about Lin Yi's rejection. Lin Yi is a good person in every way, but sometimes he is a little too serious. In fact, Pengzhan had no idea that Lin Yi was also tempted by her proposal. It's just that Lin Yi is not so heartless. Pengzhan's life is in danger. How could Lin Yi have the mind to think about such things? The most urgent task is to find a way to save Pengzhan's life as soon as possible, otherwise Lin Yi may regret it for the rest of his life. Chapter 1162, Universal Shu. Leaving the tent with Pengzhan, the scent of a damp sea breeze filled their nostrils, a refreshing feeling. Lin Yi glanced at Chu Mengyao's tent. It seemed quiet, so he didn't bother them. Instead, he and Pengzhan went to the beach and sat on the sand. "It's so dark." Pengzhan curled up into Lin Yi's arms. "The darkest time is before dawn." Lin Yi smiled, hugging Pengzhan tightly. "Are you cold?" "Not bad, a little cold, but once you hold me, I'm not cold anymore." Pengzhan smiled sweetly. "Lin Yi, look, there are stars in the sky." "Yes." Lin Yi nodded, his thoughts drifting back to the border of a small European country, remembering that night with Yuning. That day, also in the early morning, the two of them sat by the cave, gazing at the twinkling stars in the sky. How similar was it to today? In the blink of an eye, everything had changed. The stars were still the same, but Pengzhan was by his side. At that time, Lin Yi was utterly lost in his future, unsure of his future path or when his wanderings would end. He didn't dare to talk about love, his attitude toward it was evasive. He couldn't promise Yuning any promises, nor could he give her the life she desired. She was a delicate flower, nurtured in a greenhouse, and he and she were from completely different worlds. So, Lin Yi chose to escape. See chapters T001, T010, Valentine's Day Special, Zioning. Although subsequent encounters with Yuning proved to be more than he had imagined, Lin Yi still didn't dare to overstep his bounds, always mindful of his identity. He didn't want Yuning to worry about him. Didn't she deserve a stable and happy life? However, despite this hidden love, Lin Yi and Yuning's relationship grew increasingly ambiguous until that time when the Yu family intervened. Lin Yi frowned, unwilling to dwell on it. Let the past be the past. At least, Lin Yi was content and happy now. This mission allowed Lin Yi to truly integrate into the big city, becoming an ordinary person and developing real emotions. Lin Yi felt so relieved because of the words of his old man. He promised that this would be Lin Yi's last mission in life, and after completing it, he could retire and settle down in Songshan City. This also freed Lin Yi from the concerns of his previous wandering life, and he opened his heart to accept Tang Yun and Pengzhan. Wow! How romantic! Lin Yi's thoughts were brought back to reality by a scream from behind him. He didn't need to look to know that the person speaking was Xiao Shu, as only she had such a startled personality. "Are you all awake?" Lin Yi turned around and saw that the eldest lady, Xiao Shu, and Tang Yun had all arrived. "How can you two be so romantic? Cuddling up by the sea in the middle of the night, I'm so envious." Chen Yushu grinned at Pengzhan. "How about we switch?" "Switch for what?" Pengzhan blushed slightly, but said, "Isn't there a seat next to Lin Yi's husband? You can go to the left." Then I won't be polite. Brother Arrow is hugging people left and right." Chen Yushu smiled and was about to sit over. But Chu Mengyao stopped her, saying, "Stop messing around. Let's get some breakfast for the sunrise." "Oh, okay." Chen Yushu remembered she had a mission this morning to fry an egg for Pengzhan, so she obediently went to the car with Chu Mengyao and Tang Yun to get some food. "I feel so happy." Pengzhan leaned her head on Lin Yi's shoulder, quietly enjoying the peaceful moment. "If you like, we can come to the beach often to watch the sunrise, every year," Lin Yi said. Pengzhan's nose tightened, a touch of sadness forming. Perhaps this would be the last time she'd watch the sunrise at the beach in her lifetime. Lin Yi had roughly guessed Pengzhan's thoughts, and his resolve to find a way to cure her grew even stronger. The stars in the sky gradually faded, and a hint of pre-dawn white appeared above the sea and sky. "It's almost dawn," Lin Yi said. "Another new day, Yes, another day, Feng Xiaoxiao sighed with some emotion. Meanwhile, Missy, Xiaoshu, and Tang Yun had already prepared their picnic supplies. Brother Arrow, everything's ready. Let's get started. Chen Yushu came running over. They could handle the preparations, but the rest would require Lin Yi's personal attention. Xiaoxiao, wait a minute. I'll get some breakfast, Lin Yi said. Can you not go? I don't want you to leave, Feng Xiaoxiao said, somewhat reliantly. Don't worry. I'll definitely get breakfast ready before sunrise, Lin Yi said with a smile. Well, okay, I'll wait for you then, Feng Xiaoxiao nodded. Lin Yi stood up and walked with Chen Yushu to the fire where they had made a fire yesterday. They quickly lit the fire, but looking at the eggs on the ground, he felt a little embarrassed. Yesterday they had a barbecue, and all they had to do was put the food on the grill, but how could they fry the poached eggs without an iron plate or a frying pan? It would be nice if there was a frying pan, Lin Yi said with a wry smile. Yes, Chen Yushu casually handed a frying pan to Lin Yi. Ah, you brought a frying pan? Lin Yi was slightly stunned. Do you have a spatula? Yes. It's not a problem for the omnipotent Shu? Chen Yushu handed a spatula to Lin Yi. Well, it's really the omnipotent Shu? Really omnipotent? Lin Yi smiled bitterly, not knowing whether to praise Chen Yushu or scold her. Lin Yi felt that the car was very heavy when he was driving. Since Chen Yushu even brought a frying pan and a spatula, she must have brought even more things in the trunk of the car. However, Lin Yi didn't have time to dwell on these things at the moment. The most urgent thing now was to fry eggs. Lin Yi quickly fried a few eggs and gave them to Tang Yun, the eldest lady, and Xiaoshu. He left two and quickly brought them to Feng Xiaoxiao, saying, "Here, eat." Feng Xiaoxiao was stunned by the aroma of the fried eggs. How did you know I wanted to eat fried eggs while watching the sunrise? Feng Xiaoxiao asked with some surprise. I didn't know, I just made it casually. Lin Yi naturally couldn't admit that he had secretly looked at Feng Xiaoxiao's phone. Isn't this usually what you eat for breakfast? But I didn't expect you to be able to fry eggs on the beach, Feng Xiaoxiao said happily, picking up the plate in front of her. Chapter 1163 in Xuanyuan's tragic past. But why do you want to eat a fried egg while watching the sunrise? Lin Yi was a little puzzled by Feng Xiaoxiao's idea. Because the rising sun is like a giant fried egg. This way, I can imagine myself devouring it in one bite, Feng Xiaoxiao said. Is that so? Lin Yi blushed. Feng Xiaoxiao was truly a brilliant thinker. She could even connect the dots. It was truly extraordinary. At that moment, a sliver of red appeared where the sea and sky met, shimmering with dazzling light. Sunrise was almost here. Oh, Chen Yushu's voice cheered, evidently watching the sunrise as well. It's almost here, Feng Xiaoxiao exclaimed excitedly, pointing toward the horizon. Sure enough, a fiery crimson moon slowly emerged from the sea and leaped into the sky, a dazzling golden glow shimmering across the surface. Feng Xiaoxiao happily ate her fried egg, watching the sunrise in Lin Yi's arms. It was a beautiful morning. With the sun rising, the cold sea was about to fade, its temperature gradually rising. After the 5 people finished breakfast, they had originally planned to change into swimsuits and swim in the sea, but the sea water was still a little cold, so the 5 people sat on the beach and waited for the sun to completely warm up the water before going swimming in the sea. And Xuanyuan and Su Tezao woke up after the sun came out completely. They walked out of the tent and saw 5 people sitting on the beach. And Xuanyuan did not hesitate at all and walked over quickly. Sister Yao, you got up very early. Are you all hungry? I have a ready-made nutritious breakfast here. It is quick-heated. I'll ask Tezao to bring some. Let's eat together. No need, we have finished eating, Chu Mengyao said lightly. You can eat by yourselves. Finished eating, and Xuanyuan was stunned, but when he looked at the picnic utensils not far away, it seemed that they had just been used today, so he shrugged helplessly and said, in this case, let's just have a simple bite by ourselves. The weather is very good today. How about we all go into the water and play together? Yao, Xiaoshu, do you remember that when we were young, we often came to the beach to play together? Of course I remember. Before Chu Mengyao could speak, Chen Yushu spoke first. Your penis was bitten by a crab, and you're still crying. That's right, your penis is broken. Sister Yao can't marry you in the future, otherwise you will have no sexual happiness, huh? And Xuanyuan was stunned by Chen Yushu's words. But then he remembered that when he was a child playing at the beach, his penis was pinched by a crab claw and almost broken. Moreover, the culprit of this incident is most likely Chen Yushu. It was she who put the crab there. Although Xuanyuan has no evidence, based on his inference, it is probably almost certain. It was also from that time that Xuanyuan developed a fear of Chen Yushu. This girl is too vicious. He must stay away from her in the future, otherwise he might be castrated by her. Thinking of this, Xuanyuan admired Lin Yi a little bit. He actually had such a good relationship with Chen Yushu. Is he not afraid of anything? Ha ha ha! Pengzhan burst into laughter after hearing what Chen Yushu said. She didn't expect that Xuanyuan had such a tragic past. Chu Mengyao and Tang Yun were too embarrassed to laugh openly, but they couldn't help laughing. Xuanyuan was so unlucky. Those were all childhood things, let's not talk about them. Xuanyuan laughed, let's not talk about this, how about we go swimming later? By the way, I specially prepared swimsuits for you. Taizao, go get the swimsuits and show them to Sister Yao and the others. Okay, I'll get them right away. Su Taizao went to get the swimsuits happily. Soon, Su Taizao came back with a pile of swimsuits in his arms. Yao, Zia Oshu, Tang Yun, Pengzhan, do you like them? Xuanyuan handed the swimsuits to Chu Mengyao. However, Chu Mengyao didn't take it, but Chen Yushu took it curiously and started to look through it. These are the latest international models. I specially asked someone to buy them from overseas. It took a lot of effort, Xuanyuan said with some pride. What kind of mess is this? Chu Mengyao blushed after just one look. How could this be an ordinary swimsuit? It was a completely sexy swimsuit. The breasts were exposed, and the thighs were completely exposed. Chu Mengyao would never wear something like this in public. Her swimsuits were very conservative, the full body type, which was completely different from this one. Xuanyuan didn't expect Chu Mengyao to react so strongly. Of course, he also admitted that he had his own selfish motives. Although these swimsuits were all international brands, he tried to pick some of the sexier ones when choosing, just to feast his eyes on Chu Mengyao after she put them on. Although Xuanyuan didn't dare to do anything to Chen Yushu, she had a good figure and big breasts, so Xuanyuan deliberately picked a swimsuit that could highlight Chen Yushu's figure and take advantage of her eyes. These are the latest international styles. How can they be crap? Xuanyuan said quickly. They're all designed by renowned designers. They might be a little bold, but they're beautiful. You're in your prime now, so you should showcase your beauty. Show them to you. Chu Mengyao frowned, retorting. This, Xuanyuan was immediately embarrassed by Chu Mengyao's question. It was clear that Chu Mengyao was genuinely angry, otherwise she wouldn't have asked such a question. I'm not wearing them. You can wear them yourself if you want, Chu Mengyao said. This, Xuanyuan was immediately embarrassed. If you don't want to wear them, then don't. I'm just being kind. Take them back, Xuanyuan thought to himself that it was a shame, but there was nothing he could do. If Chu Mengyao didn't want to wear them, how could he force her to wear them? If he dared to do so, he had no doubt that Lin Yi would kick him into the Pacific Ocean. Who the hell was Lin Yi? He'd beaten anyone from the Yu family, let alone Xuanyuan. If Li Quanxi hadn't died, Xuanyuan wouldn't have been too afraid of Lin Yi. But now that Li Quanxi had been beaten to death by some guy called Gu Dan, and his new Becker hadn't arrived yet, he didn't dare to confront Lin Yi directly. No need to take them away. I want these swimsuits. Chen Yushu stopped him. Xiaoshu, you like them? That's great, Xuanyuan thought to himself. If he couldn't see Chu Mengyao, then so be it. Seeing Chen Yushu would be fine. Although he didn't dare to actually do anything to Xiaoshu, it was still okay to fantasize about her. Chapter 1164, Want to eat shark meat again. I'll take it home and wear it secretly to show Brother Arrow. Chen Yushu's words made Xuanyuan pour a bottle of cold water on his head. Huh? Xuanyuan was stunned for a moment, and then his face changed. To show Lin Yi? Why does this little girl Chen Yushu like Lin Yi so much? Xuanyuan was envious, but also had malicious guesses. It would be better if Lin Yi was pranked by Chen Yushu every day, and put crabs and lobsters to pinch him to death every day. Give me half, I want it too, Pengzhan said unwillingly. Okay, I can't wear it alone anyway, Chen Yushu did not refuse. Xuanyuan was a little dejected. He spent a lot of money to buy a swimsuit, but Lin Yi got a bargain. He couldn't see the things he bought. It was really unlucky. But this little money was nothing to Xuanyuan now. He waved his hand generously and said, "Okay, I'll give it all to you. Let's go to the sea to play today. Let's catch some seafood. It's daybreak today. Whatever you want to eat, I'll catch it for you." And Xuanyuan looked at the crabs and other things crawling onto the beach, and he felt relieved. He thought that maybe he could catch some big fish and other seafood in a while. At least he wouldn't have to go fishing in the dark like last night. "What do we want to eat, and you catch it?" Chen Yushu narrowed her eyes slightly and looked at Xuanyuan. And Xuanyuan was frightened by Chen Yushu's expression. Would this girl play some tricks on him again? That has to be in the sea, right? If not, I can't catch it. And Xuanyuan laughed and said jokingly, "Sister Yao and I want to eat shark meat." "You go and catch it," Chen Yushu said. "Huh? Shark?" And Xuanyuan was immediately shocked when he heard Chen Yushu's words. He thought to himself, "My goodness, can you just catch a shark? Won't they get bitten to death?" "Yet, we want to eat barbecued shark meat." Chen Yushu nodded and said, "Aren't you a shark hunter? You broke a shark's teeth with one punch. Were you just bragging before, huh?" And Xuanyuan suddenly remembered that the last time he treated everyone to a meal, he wanted to show off his bravery and casually said that he had fought a shark before. But it was all made up and completely false. But now, Chen Yushu actually brought it up, leaving Xuanyuan in a dilemma. If he admitted it, Chen Yushu would definitely let him go catch a shark right away. But if he didn't admit it, he would definitely come across as a liar in front of Chu Mengyao, and he would lose all his face. Thinking of this, Xuanyuan gritted his teeth and thought that there might not be any sharks in this shallow water. If he didn't encounter any sharks, it wouldn't be his fault. So he said, "Okay, then it's shark meat. Taizao and I will go into the sea to catch sharks for you in a while. However, if there are no sharks in the shallow water, we can't do anything. After all, we didn't bring any diving equipment, so we can't go to the deep sea. It doesn't matter. I have a trick to attract sharks." Chen Yushu looked at Xuanyuan with a smile and said, "Cut your finger and drip the blood into the sea, then the sharks will be attracted to you." Gah. And Xuanyuan was startled for a moment. "This is not good, right? Why is it not good? Are you timid?" "Sister Yao doesn't like timid men, she likes brave men." Chen Yushu looked at Xuanyuan and said encouragingly, "You have to be brave. If you want to win the favor of Sister Yao, you must be like a warrior. No matter how big the danger is, don't be nervous. You should believe that Sister Yao is watching you from behind and cheering for you, really." And Xuanyuan's whole body was suddenly filled with courage and fighting spirit. He looked at Su Taizao on the side and said, "Taizao, change into your swimsuit, let's go into the sea to catch sharks." "Brethren, with our physique, aren't we a little too weak to catch sharks?" Su Taizao asked carefully with a bitter face. "Stop talking nonsense and go." And Xuanyuan was afraid that Chu Mengyao would laugh at him, so he pulled Su Taizao to change into a swimsuit. "Xiao Shu, isn't it a bit too dangerous for you to do this? What if Xuanyuan and Su Taizao are bitten to death by sharks?" Chu Mengyao didn't believe that Xuanyuan could kill any shark at all. She believed that Lin Yi could kill sharks, but Xuanyuan it's okay. "Don't I still have me?" Chen Yushu said. "Last time I killed a shark with just one stone." "Haha, you still say that?" Chu Mengyao couldn't help laughing. "What shark did you hit last time?" "It was obviously Gozaifu." "Sister Yao, you know it too." Chen Yushu blushed suddenly. With Chen Yushu's intelligence, she naturally understood afterwards that what she had hit was not a shark, but Gozaifu disguised as a shark, but she thought no one knew about it. "The shark you killed still had a supermarket price tag on it." "Who wouldn't know that?" Chu Mengyao glared at Chen Yushu, then turned to look at Lin Yi and said with some embarrassment, "Lin Yi, keep an eye on it later. Don't let the shark actually kill Xuanyuan." "Okay." Lin Yi nodded, not asking any further questions. Lin Yi understood Chu Mengyao's feelings. To Xuanyuan, he was still just a childhood playmate. Even though he had changed and become a villain, Chu Mengyao didn't want to see Xuanyuan die in front of her, out of consideration for their past friendship. "Sister Yao, why do you care what he does? Let him die, so be it." Chen Yushu shrugged. A short while later, Xuanyuan and Su Tai had already changed into their swimsuits and were ready to enter the water. "Yao, Xiao Shu, don't you want to join us in the water?" Xuanyuan asked. "Sister Yao, shall we go?" Chen Yushu turned to look at Chu Mengyao. Chu Mengyao nodded and turned to look at Tang Yun and Pengzhan. Shall we go together? Sure, Tang Yun nodded. This was her first time at the beach, and everything was so new to her. Songshan City is a mountainous city, surrounded by mountains and little water. It took quite a drive to reach the beach, and the only place with access to the sea was the bungee jumping area at the amusement park. But it was all steep cliffs, and the sea was just below. Such a place was not suitable for a beach trip. Tang Yun's family had been poor before, and her father was seriously ill, so she had no time for a beach trip. At the supermarket, Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu bought a number of swimsuits, all conservative, and brought them out for Tang Yun and Pengzhan. Yunayan, Zia, you two choose first. Which one do you like? Chu Mengyao took out the swimsuits and placed them in front of Tang Yun and Pengzhan. Chapter 1165 Lin Yi's gaffe. That's not a good idea. You should choose first. Tang Yun felt a little embarrassed. After all, Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu had paid for the swimsuits, so it was only right that they should choose first. These swimsuits are the styles that Xiaoshu and I like. We won't buy anything we don't like, so you pick the ones you like. Xiaoshu and I also like the rest, Chu Mengyao explained with a smile. Then I'll obey you. Tang Yun didn't refuse anymore. She and Pengzhan each picked out a suit they liked. However, changing into swimsuits was a little awkward. Although they had already been naked when changing into pajamas last night, it was dark and nothing could be seen. Only a vague white patch could be seen, which wasn't too embarrassing. But now, even without the lights on, the bright sunlight still penetrated the tent, filling it with light, though it was a little dim. The young lady was a little shy, and Tang Yun was also a little shy. But Chen Yashu didn't care. She quickly stripped down and prepared to put on her swimsuit. Wow, Xiaoshu, you're so big, Pengzhan exclaimed, staring at Chen Yashu. Then, she quickly ran over and grabbed her. Let me touch it. Chen Yashu screamed, trying to dodge Pengzhan's attack. You're so stingy. You're still playing with me for the third time, and you won't even let me touch it. I'm not playing with you anymore, Pengzhan snorted. I'll let you touch it when we play, but not now. Chen Yashu quickly put on her swimsuit and said, now, only Arrow Brother can touch it. With Chen Yashu and Pengzhan's interaction, the atmosphere in the tent became less awkward. Chu Mengyao and Tang Yun also took off their clothes and prepared to change into their swimsuits. Pengzhan, however, was a little hesitant at the end. At least Chu Mengyao, Chen Yashu, and Tang Yun had changed into pajamas together yesterday and slept on the same mattress, so they were quite familiar with each other. But it was Pengzhan's first time, so she felt a little embarrassed. Xiaoshu, why are you taking so long? Are you too small and feeling inferior to me? Chen Yashu grinned at Pengzhan. HMPH, who said that? You're a burden at that size. Mine's just right. Pengzhan quickly undressed and changed into her swimsuit. It seems a little bigger than Sister Yao's. Sister Yao, it looks like you need to work harder, Chen Yashu muttered to herself. Xiaoshu, you're going too far. Chu Mengyao blushed at Chen Yashu and tried to bite her. I'm leaving, going swimming. Chen Yashu scurried out of the tent, leaving Chu Mengyao speechless and helpless. Lin Yi also went back to change into his swimming trunks and emerged from the tent, just in time to see Xiaoshu running out. Xiaoshu's chest was free, and the ups and downs of her running made Lin Yi's breathing quicken. The scene was remarkably similar to those popular online videos. Wow, Brother Arrow, you're so strong. Chen Yashu didn't realize she was acting strangely, but instead, she saw Lin Yi's muscular chest and abdominals, which made her eyes light up. You're strong too, Lin Yi said subconsciously, but after he finished speaking, he felt something was amiss. Lin Yi was always very serious in front of Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu, never saying anything extreme, but this time, Xiaoshu tricked him into saying something he shouldn't have. Oh, Chen Yashu was also taken aback by Lin Yi's words. But then she brightened up a bit. Although Lin Yi had doted on her in the past, he had never said such words of praise. So Chen Yashu was very happy. Brother Arrow, you finally discovered Xiaoshu's strengths. Lin Yi was speechless. It seemed that no one is perfect. After spending so much time with Yao and Xiaoshu, it was inevitable that he would have some thoughts. It was understandable that he had feelings for them. You and Yao are both excellent. Lin Yi's expression returned to normal, and he said calmly, Chen Yushu felt a little depressed when she saw Lin Yi had returned to his old self. However, she then thought that Lin Yi's attitude had been very clear before. It seemed that he still liked her. Well, Xiaoshu, you have to keep up the good work. Chu Mengyao, Tang Yun, and Feng Xiaoxiao came out later and naturally didn't see the previous scene. They were immediately puzzled by Chen Yushu's beaming smile. Only Chu Mengyao was very upset. Xiaoshu, my small breasts are so worth your happiness? You're almost dying of laughter. I think you should be named Chen Xiaoxiao. No, that's not what I'm laughing at. Chen Yushu scratched his head, a little embarrassed. Then what are you laughing at? Chu Mengyao looked at Chen Yushu with some confusion. Oh, nothing, I'm laughing at that idiot and Jianwen going shark catching, Chen Yushu said. Although Chu Mengyao didn't quite believe what Chen Yushu said, she didn't say anything else. And Jianwen and Su Taizao were swimming in the ocean at this time. Seeing Chu Mengyao and the others emerge, they immediately waved their arms, saying, Yao, come on. The water's so cool. The sun was already out, and standing on the beach would have felt intensely hot, but the water hadn't yet fully absorbed the sun's heat and was still a bit chilly. Now was the perfect time to get in the water, a refreshing feeling. Brother Jianwen, why don't you go catch sharks? Chen Yushu asked directly after entering the sea. I was just thinking, why don't we all play for a while? Otherwise, the blood and water will remain in the sea, and how can we have fun? And Jianwen chuckled, let's catch sharks after we've had enough fun. I see, that's fine, Chen Yushu thought for a moment. They hadn't had enough fun yet, and while it was a bit annoying to have attracted sharks, she wasn't worried that Jianwen wouldn't go after them. Although the chances of sharks and other dangerous marine life appearing in shallow waters were slim, Lin Yi still vigilantly observed the movements on the surface, ready to strike at any moment. Wow, there's abalone on this reef. Feng Xiaoxiao excitedly pointed at a reef on the seabed and exclaimed. Really? There's abalone here? Chen Yushu's eyes rolled around, and she called to Jianwen, Brother Jianwen, there's abalone here. Come catch some for our lunch. No problem. When Jianwen heard about catching abalone, he agreed without a second thought. As long as it wasn't sharks, it would be fine. Jianwen had eaten abalone before, it was just a shellfish and not harmful at all. So he brought Su Taizao with him and ran over eager to try. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1166 Tell you a secret. Right here, catch it. Chen Yushu pointed to the reef in the water and said to Jianwen. This is so easy, watch me, and Jianwen thought to himself, this is a great opportunity to show off his bravery. So, he gathered all his strength and said to the abalone, little abalone, I'm coming. However, Jianwen's thinking was too simple. The abalone was stuck to the reef, almost like it was glued to the surface. The suction was so strong that even a cow would have trouble pulling it apart. Jianwen didn't realize that he was just treating the abalone like a clam, thinking he could just pick it up. So, as soon as Jianwen picked it up, he felt something was wrong. Why was the abalone so tight, as if it had grown onto the reef? Taizao, come help. Let's pull it down together, Jianwen ordered Su Taizao. Okay, let's pull it out together. Su Taizao was afraid of ghosts and sharks, but a small abalone didn't bother him at all. He and Jianwen, one on each side, began to pull the abalone out with all their might. Come on, Brother Jianwen, come on, Brother Taizao. Sister Yao is watching you. Chen Yushu cheered them on as she and Feng Xiaoxiao slipped away, leaving the two idiots desperately trying to pull out the abalone. Chen Yushu and Feng Xiaoxiao ran over to Chu Mengyao and Tang Yun, bursting into laughter. What's wrong with you two? Chu Mengyao asked, looking at them with some confusion. Jianwen and Su Taizao are over there pulling out the abalone with their hands, Chen Yushu said. Pulling out abalone with their hands? Chu Mengyao was stunned. Can you pull the thing out with your hands? Don't you have to use special tools to get it out? Did we see an episode of Animal World before that featured abalone? Yeah, those two idiots definitely haven't seen that. They think they can pull abalone out with their hands, Chen Yushu said. Let them do it. We don't have to worry about them disturbing us. Chu Mengyao shook her head. Chen Yushu was being mean. Lin Yi didn't go into the sea, but sat quietly on the beach, watching the people playing in the water. He had to take care of their safety. Lin Yi, husband, can you go in the sea this time? You lied to me before that you couldn't swim, but Xiao Shu said you saved him. Feng Xiaoxiao looked at Lin Yi on the shore with some resentment. On the previous beach trip organized by Zhong Pinliang, Feng Xiaoxiao wanted Lin Yi to go in the sea with her, but Lin Yi refused, saying he couldn't swim. However, as she and Chen Yushu became more familiar with each other, Feng Xiaoxiao learned more about Lin Yi. I'm not going. You guys go play first. Lin Yi shook his head. However, Feng Xiaoxiao naturally wouldn't let Lin Yi go so easily. Led by Feng Xiaoxiao, they began to splash water on Lin Yi on the shore. Chen Yushu soon joined the fray, and Tang Yun hesitated for a moment before joining in the fray. The eldest young lady was in a dilemma. With her usual personality, she would never have joined in on Chen Yushu's mischief. But now that Tang Yun had joined the fray, it would seem a bit out of place if she didn't. So, the eldest young lady started splashing water at Lin Yi, but Lin Yi didn't mind, smiling faintly. It's getting a little hot sitting on the beach, and you splashing water on me will help cool me down. It's like a shower. Sisters, how about we push Brother Arrow into the sea? Chen Yushu was unhappy and started to mobilize the crowd. Okay. Feng Xiaoxiao was the first to agree. Tang Yun also relaxed. It was her first time out, so she naturally wanted to have fun. She also responded to Chen Yushu's call, ran to shore, and pulled Lin Yi into the water. Lin Yi was surprised that Tang Yun would get along so well with Chen Yushu, but he gave her a favor and went into the sea. Over there, Jianwen and Su Taizao were struggling to catch abalone. Looking at the laughter and joy here, Jianwen wanted to cry. Why is this abalone so hard to pull out? Is it stuck on the reef? Who knows, brethren, I have already used all my strength, but this abalone doesn't move at all. Su Taizao also smiled bitterly and said, is there something wrong with this abalone? That girl Chen Yushu is always cheating people. Why don't we change abalone? Jianwen thought about it and it made sense. Chen Yushu was indeed always cheating people. This abalone might really have something wrong, so he and Su Taizao went to pull out other abalone, but when they pulled them out, they clearly felt that it was the same as the previous abalone, which was simply stuck to the reef and didn't move at all. Are all abalones problematic? Jianwen frowned. No way, these are all wild abalone, and they don't look like they have been tampered with. Su Taizao was also a little confused. Forget it, let's not pull them out. Doesn't Chen Yushu want to eat abalone? Let's go ashore and call Yang Ganglao and ask him to buy a few pounds of abalone. After all, she said yesterday that you don't have to go to the sea to eat seafood, Jianwen said. That's right, Su Tai had already gone ashore with Jianwen and abandoned the idea of pulling abalone. Instead, he returned to the tent and called Yang Ganglao, asking him to buy not only a few pounds of abalone but also some shark meat. Xiaoshu, it seems Jianwen has given up on pulling abalone, Feng Xiaoxiao said, looking towards the shore. How about we give him another go? Chen Yushu blinked, a plan coming to mind. Great. How? Feng Xiaoxiao agreed without hesitation. Just do this and that. Chen Yushu and Feng Xiaoxiao began to plot. Before long, they reached shore and walked over to Jianwen. Brother Jianwen, come here. I'll tell you a secret. Chen Yushu waved to Jianwen. Oh? What secret? Jianwen didn't dare to neglect it. Although he felt that the secret Chen Yushu said might not be a good thing, he still walked over. Come closer and listen. Chen Yushu motioned Jianwen to bend down. She was not as tall as Jianwen, so naturally she could not reach Jianwen's ear. What's the matter? Jianwen bent down. Chen Yushu put her mouth close to Jianwen's ear and suddenly shouted, "Wah!" Jianwen was frightened by Chen Yushu's sudden scream and jumped high. His ears were buzzing and he was almost deafened by Chen Yushu. Jianwen was a little angry. Isn't Chen Yushu too much? It's okay to play around, but is she trying to scare herself to death? Sister Shu, why are you so old and still playing some childish tricks? This is a kindergarten-level joke. You almost deafened my ears. Jianwen covered his ears and said with a fierce face. Chapter 1167. Why didn't you say it earlier? No, brother Jianwen, I really want to tell you a secret, Chen Yushu said aggrievedly. You really want to tell me a secret? Then what secret do you want to tell me? Jianwen asked with a frown. Brethren, no. Something big has happened. Su Taizao also rushed over from not far away at this time, and said breathlessly. Wait a minute, what's the big deal? Wait until Sister Xiaoshu tells me the secret, and Jianwen waved his hand, signaling Su Taizao to stay calm. Brother Jianwen, actually I want to tell you that Xiaoxio wants to put a crab in your pants, Chen Yushu said. Just tell me, why are you shouting all of a sudden? Do you want to deafen me? And Jianwen looked at Chen Yushu helplessly. No, I shouted because Xiaoxio just came and put a crab in your pants. I happened to see it, so I was startled, so I screamed, Chen Yushu said embarrassedly. Gah, and Jianwen suddenly jumped up again, covering his crotch with both hands. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. My balls are pinched. It hurts so much. Oh, brother Jianwen, I've told you the secret. I'm leaving first. You continue to suffer in the balls. Chen Yushu waved to Jianwen, turned around and left. And Jianwen jumped on the ground, covering his crotch, but he didn't dare to take off his pants in public, so he could only run into the tent. When he got inside the tent, and Jianwen took off his swimming trunks in no time, and a small crab happened to be stuck on in Jianwen's balls. Taizao, come and help, I can't use any strength, and Jianwen called Su Taizao depressedly to come over for help. Little crab, come down quickly, it's not fun over there, Su Taizao said to the little crab with his head down. You're a crab? Can he understand what you're saying? Hurry up and help me get it off, and Jianwen was furious. It was already this late at night, and he was still talking to a crab. Was he crazy? Su Taizao didn't dare to say anything more. He carefully reached out to pull the little crab, but this pull made Jianwen almost cry. Oh my god, bullshit, it won't come off even if I don't pull it. Su Taizao was a little at a loss, not knowing whether to continue pulling or stop. Can't you be more careful? Open its claws first, and Jianwen said. Let me try. Su Taizao nodded carefully. So, a ghostly and wolves-like bullshit drama was staged in the tent, and a real bullshit scene was created. On the other hand, the instigators, Chen Yushu and Feng Xiaoxio, went back and continued to play with Lin Yi, Chu Mengyao, and Tang Yongxiao as if nothing had happened. What happened to Jianwen? He seems to be injured, Chu Mengyao asked in surprise, not knowing what happened to Jianwen. And Jianwen's screams were so shrill that Chu Mengyao could hear them even from such a distance. His balls hurt, Chen Yushu said. Balls hurt, Chu Mengyao's face flushed immediately. Although balls hurt is an internet slang, most people who say it are men. After all, girls don't have balls, and it's not polite to say it out loud. Especially Chu Mengyao, she doesn't know how to use such words. When she heard Chen Yushu say this, she naturally felt a little embarrassed. But Chu Mengyao was a little puzzled. Why didn't Jianwen have a pain in his balls when he was fine? His balls were pinched by a crab, Feng Xiaoxio explained to Chu Mengyao. Huh? Chu Mengyao was stunned. Although she didn't know what it felt like to have your balls pinched by a crab, she was afraid it would not be a good experience. She couldn't help but sigh. Why is he so unlucky? And he can be pinched by that. I put the crab there, Feng Xiaoxio said. Huh? Chu Mengyao suddenly felt a headache. Was it Feng Xiaoxio's doing? Seeing Chen Yushu's understanding, she realized it was probably a joint effort between the two. And Jianwen was unlucky enough to have run into these two troublemakers. No, nothing will happen to him, right? Chu Mengyao asked worriedly. No, it's just a little crab. It'll get hurt at most, but it won't die, Chen Yushu said. And Jianwen, with great effort, finally managed to pull the crab off, but it also ripped its eggs, causing him to jump in pain. Damn it, you rotten crab. You damned crab. I'm gonna crush you to death. After getting the crab off, and Jianwen immediately stepped on it. However, because it was sandy, the crab wasn't hurt. He stepped on it, and when it fell into the sand, it got angry and extended its claws, snapping, and clamped down on Jianwen's toes. Ouch, and Jianwen screamed again. Half an hour later, and Jianwen limped out of the tent, clutching his egg. His egg and toes had been bandaged. He was in great pain, and as he walked, he asked Su Taizao, by the way, you just said something terrible was going to happen and that I needed to report something important. What happened? And Jianwen then remembered that Su Taizao seemed to want to talk to him about something, but he'd been so frightened by Chen Yushu's ringing ears that he hadn't paid attention. Now that he suddenly remembered, he asked, here's the thing, and, I wanted to tell you that Pengzhan threw a crab down your pants, but there's no need to tell you now, Su Taizao said with a bitter face. What? And Jianwen almost jumped up from the ground. You said Pengzhan threw the crab? You saw it? Why didn't you tell me earlier? And Jianwen remembered that when Su Taizao was yelling, the crab hadn't yet bitten the egg. Did he mean that if he had discovered it in time, this tragedy wouldn't have happened? Thinking of this, and Jianwen's face suddenly became extremely ugly. But, I wanted to say it before, you told me to wait. Wait until Sister Xiaoshu tells you the secret first, Su Taizao said weakly. Huh? And Jianwen was stunned for a moment, but when he thought about it carefully, it seemed that was indeed the case at that time. It was indeed he who asked Su Taizao to wait for a while. So, and Jianwen could only blame himself for his bad luck. Who could he blame? There was a hint of resentment in Jianwen's eyes when he looked at Chen Yushu and Pengzhan, but because they were Chu Mengyao's friends, and Jianwen couldn't get angry on the spot. If he really got angry, they would just say it was a joke. What could he do? So, and Jianwen gritted his teeth, endured the pain, pretended to be fine, and walked towards the beach. Seeing that Jianwen was jumping up and down the moment before, but was fine at this moment, Chen Yushu was suddenly a little confused. But after a quick observation, he immediately found the bitterness on his face and knew that he was pretending. Chapter 1168 You are a brave man. Brother Jianwen, how are you? Where's the crab? Chen Yushu's first sentence hid Jianwen's sore spot. As the saying goes, don't hit someone in the face and don't expose their shortcomings. And Jianwen's face froze immediately, but in order to prevent Chu Mengyao from looking down on him, he pretended to be calm and said with a calm look, it's just a small crab, how can it do anything to me? Wow, Brother Jianwen, so you are so awesome? Is your egg okay? Chen Yushu's eyes were full of admiration. Of course it's okay, I've practiced it. After being pinched by a crab once when I was a child, I started practicing when I was fine. At present, a crab is still ineffective against me, and Jianwen said complacently, the same trick is nothing to me. Oh, Brother Jianwen turned out to be an iron egg. Then the girl who marries you in the future will definitely be sexually happy, Chen Yushu said enviously. Haha, that's not the case, but it's definitely happier than the average person, and Jianwen thought to himself. Chen Yushu was quite cute at this time. She knew how to praise him in front of Chu Mengyao. Now it seems that being pinched in the balls is a good thing. Brother Jianwen is indeed a brave and strong man, Chen Yushu said sincerely. Of course, Sister Yao likes brave people, and I am developing in that direction, and Jianwen nodded and said. Oh, since you have nothing to do, go catch sharks quickly. We are waiting to eat them, Chen Yushu said. Huh? And Jianwen was stunned. Only then did he realize that he had been fooled by Chen Yushu. Before, Chen Yushu kept praising himself for how strong and brave he was, and now asked him to catch sharks, so he couldn't refuse. Fighting with sharks is a very dangerous thing. Now that you are all playing in the sea, I think it's better to forget it. It's not good to cause a bloody incident, fortunately, and Jianwen had a countermeasure in advance. I have asked Yang Ganglao to buy some abalone and shark meat from the supermarket. It will be here soon, and we don't have to catch abalone and sharks. Oh, that's different. The sharks in the supermarket are dead and quick frozen. They are not fresh. Sister Yao likes to eat fresh sharks, Chen Yushu said. Besides, Sister Yao likes the process of warriors fighting sharks, not the result. Eating sharks is secondary. It's just to enjoy the fruits of your victory. If the shark is killed by someone else, Sister Yao won't eat it. Is that so? Chen Yushu's words immediately made Jianwen's blood boil, but no matter how boiling he was not stupid. He still knew his own weight. With his physique, he was not even enough to fill the shark's teeth, and he still fought with a shark. But not wanting to lose face in front of Chu Mengyao, Jianwen hesitated and said, of course I've thought about that, too. I haven't fought a shark in ages, and I'm a little uneasy. You know, a brave man like me feels uncomfortable if I don't do something brave for a while. But sharks aren't something you can just wish for. This is shallow water, so sharks don't usually come. So, it's just a matter of luck, and Jianwen's words were clear. I wanted to catch a shark, but there weren't any here. So, you can't blame me, right? And Jianwen's idea wasn't wrong. Shallow waters generally didn't have sharks, so even if he wanted to catch one, there wouldn't be any. Then give it a try. Cut your finger to track the shark, Chen Yushu nodded. Sharks were indeed present in the waters around here. They'd encountered sharks before, when she and Lin Yi fell into the water, and later, when Zhong Pinliang organized the trip, so Chen Yushu felt that and Jianwen would be lucky enough to encounter one this time, too. Okay, and Jianwen thought. A tiny amount of blood in the seawater would quickly be diluted, making it impossible for the shark to come. So he said to Su Taizao, cut your finger and lure the shark. Huh? Why me? Su Taizao pointed at himself, somewhat distressed. If it's not you, then what about me? And Jianwen glared at him. Hurry up. Don't delay my fight with the shark, okay? Su Taizao gritted his teeth and went to cut his finger. But this time, and Jianwen had miscalculated. He had no idea about sharks, otherwise, he wouldn't have said that stupid thing at the dinner table about shattering a shark's tooth with one punch. If you drop a drop of blood in the ocean, a shark can smell it from a quarter-mile away. Sharks are particularly sensitive to odors in seawater, especially the smell of blood. The low-frequency vibrations emitted by the erratic movement of a sick or injured fish, or even a small amount of bleeding, can attract them from a distance, surpassing even the sense of smell of a land dog. It can sniff out the scent of blood and flesh at concentrations as low as 1 ppm, parts per million, in water. This means a shark's olfactory organs can detect 1 drop of blood in a million drops of seawater. A 1-meter-long shark's nasal cavity is densely packed with olfactory nerve endings, covering an area of 4,842 square centimeters. For example, a 5 to 7 meter long white shark's sensitive sense of smell can detect the scent of injured humans and marine animals from kilometers away. And Su Taizao's blood wasn't just 1 drop, it was several. If there were sharks nearby, it would be a surprise if he didn't attract them. Yao Io, Zia Oshu, Yunayan, Zia Oxeo, let's go ashore. What if there's a shark? Lin Yi knew this, and knew Su Taizao's actions would likely attract sharks, so he had prepared them to go ashore and hide. Otherwise, if a shark actually came, how could Lin Yi protect 4 people at once? Don't be caught off guard. Seeing Lin Yi's seriousness, the eldest lady nodded without saying anything. Okay, Zia Oshu, let's go up and rest for a while. It's a good time to get some sun. Tang Yun and Feng Xiaoxiao naturally obeyed Lin Yi. He had his reasons for asking them to go ashore. That's right. Only the brave can fight something as terrifying as a shark, and Jianwen was a little surprised by Lin Yi's cowardice, but the more timid Lin Yi was, the happier he was. Only Lin Yi's cowardice could highlight his bravery. Lin Yi smiled slightly and said nothing more. Let Jianwen be foolish if he wanted to. If he really attracted a shark, he would know what fear was. Yeah, we're no match for sharks. Although Chen Yushu didn't know what Lin Yi meant, she felt that his actions made sense, so she tried her best to cooperate with him. Chapter 1169 Very loving. Then leave it to me, and Jianwen walked towards the sea triumphantly. In his opinion, there was no way sharks would appear on this shallow beach. However, he had just taken 2 steps when something extremely surprising happened. Above the calm sea surface, a shark fin suddenly appeared, swimming towards this side at a rapid speed. Huh? And Jianwen's eyes widened immediately. He had never expected that a shark would really come. And Su Taizao obviously had not yet realized the danger was coming. At this moment, he was standing stupidly in the sea, dripping blood into the sea with his fingers. However, he lowered his head and did not see the shark swimming towards him. And Jianwen's face suddenly froze. For a moment, he was in a dilemma, not knowing whether to run away or move forward. Running away would naturally be safe, but he would lose face in front of Chu Mengyao. This time, he would be embarrassed. But he didn't dare to move forward. How could he be a match for the shark? Moving forward would be tantamount to committing suicide. Thinking of this, and Jianwen's forehead was suddenly covered with sweat, and he was unable to make a decision. Come on, brother Jianwen, come on, brother Jianwen. Chen Yushu was the first to cheer. Come on, Sister Yao loves watching heroes fighting sharks the most, and Jianwen's expression at this moment was uglier than crying. He was not stupid. Going to fight sharks, wasn't that courting death? At this time, Su Taizao heard Chen Yushu's shouting, was slightly stunned, then raised his head and saw the shark swimming towards him at a very fast speed. He was immediately frightened and didn't dare to drip blood into the sea anymore, so he ran away. Seeing Su Taizao running away, and Jianwen's psychological defense line collapsed immediately. He turned around and ran to the shore with Su Tai's Ao. "Brother Jianwen, why don't you go fight sharks?" Chen Yushu looked at Jianwen, who was running away strangely. "I suddenly feel a little sorry for the shark. Look how tiny it is. It must be a baby shark, new to this world. It would be too pitiful if I killed it," and Jianwen suddenly said, "So I've decided to let it go, is that so?" Chen Yushu nodded thoughtfully. "Of course, I'm a very compassionate person." Seeing that Chen Yushu seemed to believe him, and Jianwen nodded quickly. "Oh, that's fine. But brother Jianwen, there's a huge shark coming over there. I'll leave it to you." Chen Yushu suddenly pointed towards the sea and said to Jianwen. "Huh?" And Jianwen looked in the direction Chen Yushu pointed and almost jumped in shock. A shark, even larger than the previous one, was swimming towards them at a rapid speed. Judging by the size of its fins, it was several times larger than the previous one. And Jianwen was stunned and wanted to slap himself. What the hell is his mouth? How could it be so sharp? Just now, he just casually said it, and this bigger shark came. He really didn't know what to do. "Brother Jianwen, what's wrong with you? This shark is not a small shark, is it? Is it an obese shark?" A mature young man, Chen Yushu asked with a smile. Of course not," and Jianwen originally wanted to say what Chen Yushu said, but since Chen Yushu had said so, it would be a bit awkward for him to say it again. He could only laugh dryly and said, "I think this shark must be related to the little shark. They are from the same family. This is the mother shark. She was afraid that the little shark would come by itself and be killed by me, so the old shark came to escort it. If I kill the old shark, the little shark will be without a mother. How pitiful. So I decided to let them go. Sister Yao, don't blame me. It's not that I don't want to catch shark meat for you to eat, it's just that I am such a loving person," and Jianwen's words were full of loopholes. Even Chu Mengyao couldn't help laughing. However, Chu Mengyao was different from Xiaoshu. She would not expose Jianwen. She just despised him in her heart. How could such a person deserve the word brave? Finally, after circling the nearby waters, the two sharks did not find any target. After finding nothing, they swam away one after another. And Jianwen finally breathed a sigh of relief, his face somewhat awkward. He wasn't sure if Chu Mengyao believed what he'd said, but he couldn't tell from her expression. She remained calm and expressionless. Just as Jianwen was feeling unsure what to do, someone came to his rescue, Yang Ganglao. Yang Ganglao drove a Toyota SUV to the beach. After parking, he ran towards Jianwen, carrying large abalone and shark meat he just bought from the supermarket. "Brethren, I bought everything just as you ordered. The abalone is top-grade Hokkaido single-head abalone, very rare, and the shark meat is incredibly fresh," Yang Ganglao said, handing Jianwen 2 large bags. And Jianwen was immediately overjoyed. Now the seafood was ready, and he didn't have to go fishing or fight sharks. "Ganglao, well done," and Jianwen smiled as he took the bags of seafood. However, before Jianwen could hold the seafood bag for even a second, Chen Yushu snatched it away. "Brother Jianwen, you are a caring person. These abalone are alive. You shouldn't have the heart to eat them, right? And the shark meat, you couldn't even bear to kill sharks before, let alone eat their meat. So, in order to avoid becoming a heartless person, leave these to us. You are the good guy, and I will be the bad guy," Chen Yushu said confidently, leaving Jianwen with no way to refute. If he wanted to refute, then all his previous love and so on would become nonsense, so Jianwen could only swallow his anger. "This is delicious seafood." And Jianwen himself wanted to try it, but he didn't expect that because of his previous words, he would not have the chance to have it. However, the more this happened, the less Jianwen could say. He had to pretend to be indifferent and said calmly, "Of course I won't eat it. Who made me a caring person? Then I'll give it all to you," and Jianwen's heart was bleeding. Damn it, if he had known this would happen, why would he brag about it? Isn't it asking for trouble? Forget it, let's go back and continue eating the leftover lamb skewers from yesterday. There are still a lot anyway, enough to eat. Chu Mengyao and Tang Yun looked at Chen Yushu and couldn't help laughing. And Jianwen was so unlucky to meet Chen Yushu. Chapter 1170 Not Leaving Anything Behind. Brother Jianwen is so kind-hearted, he must be a vegetarian, right? He might have some lamb skewers or something, so why don't we just share them? We can't let him be so heartless, Fengzhan reminded him. Huh? And Xuanyuan's eyes widened, and he almost fainted from anger. Is this going to kill people? It's okay to take away the seafood, but they want to kill everyone? Even the lamb skewers are going to be taken away? Oh, yeah, I forgot. Then Brother Xuanyuan, let's go get them. Chen Yushu slapped her forehead and said with sudden realization. Of course you can, and Xuanyuan gave Chen Yushu a smile that was uglier than crying. Then, a strange scene appeared on the beach. Lin Yi, Chu Mengyao, Chen Yushu, Tan Yun, and Fengzhan were enjoying a delicious barbecue feast together, while Xuanyuan, Su Taizao, and Yang Ganglao stood in the distance, looking at them with envy, wanting to cry but not tears. Taizao, what else do we have to eat now? And Xuanyuan asked with a bitter face. I've given away everything I have. I wonder what else Ganglao has over there. Su Taizao looked at Yang Ganglao. I also bought some canned beer at the supermarket, but there's no seafood, and we can't just have beer. Yang Ganglao spread his hands and said with a wry smile. Apart from beer, is there nothing else? Su Taizao asked. There are still a few buckets of instant noodles, said Yang Ganglao. Instant noodles are fine, just make do with it. Isn't there an electric kettle in the car? Boil some water, and Xuanyuan thought to himself, it's better to have something than nothing, and being hungry is not a pleasant feeling. But there's no water, and Yang Ganglao said weakly, instant noodles need plain water, and there's only beer here. You can't use beer to make instant noodles, right? Isn't there seawater? You idiot, why don't you go get some seawater and boil it? It's just right for seafood noodles, and Xuanyuan pointed at the sea in front of him and said angrily, thinking that Yang Ganglao was really an idiot. There was so much water in the sea right in front of him, and he still said there was no water? What a look! But the sea water is salty, Su Taizao asked with some confusion. Wouldn't it be less salty if you put less seasoning when making instant noodles? And Xuanyuan glared at him. So, the three of them ate seafood noodles and drank beer, which was quite unique. Brethren, this noodle is quite delicious, so fresh. Su Taizao was not satisfied with one bowl, so he made another bowl. Of course, don't you see who I am? And Xuanyuan said proudly. Over there, Lin Yi and the others were eating very happily, especially Chen Yushu and Fengzhan, who ate with their mouth full of oil, as if they were starving ghosts. Lin Yi, husband, try Xuanyuan's abalone, it's super delicious. Fengzhan picked up an extremely large abalone, dipped it in seasoning, and placed it next to Lin Yi's mouth. Okay, Lin Yi opened his mouth, with some thoughts in his mind. Xuanyuan's abalone? Delicious. Meanwhile, Chen Yushu, naturally unwilling to be outdone, looked at Fengzhan with inward disdain. She knew the extended meaning of the word abalone. It was often mentioned in online forums. It used to be called abalone, but now it's called wood ear mushroom. So, regardless of whether Fengzhan did it intentionally or not, Chen Yushu, her number one rival, began to fight back. She picked up a cup of milk tea and handed it to Lin Yi. Brother Wrigley, you must be thirsty. Have some of Xiaoshu's milk, huh? Lin Yi almost lost control. Were these two doing this on purpose? Yeah, it seemed so. Lin Yi took the milk tea from Chen Yushu and took a sip. Seeing how happy Lin Yi was eating, and Xuanyuan was even more jealous. Those were all ours, and Lin Yi took them. What a shame. Su Tai threw away the instant noodle box and said indignantly. Brethren, are we going to get revenge? Yang Ganglao asked cautiously. Revenge? What revenge? Lin Yi is a Xuan level master, and I'm not stupid. The three of us are not even enough to warm him up, and Xuanyuan knew his situation very well. This Lin Yi was completely pretending to be a pig and eating the tiger. He had been tricked by him several times before and even lost his kidney. A head-on confrontation is of course not possible. How about we use some conspiracy? As Su Taizhao's number one military advisor, Yang Ganglao was quite good at playing tricks. Conspiracy? Can you outsmart Chen Yushu and Fengzhan? And Xuanyuan rolled his eyes. I'm still in pain now. Yang Ganglao was silent. This force didn't work. Playing dirty didn't work. This didn't work. That didn't work. What else is there? Yang Ganglao really guessed right. And Xuanyuan really had no tricks now. Before the new master arrived, and Xuanyuan really had nothing to rely on. And Xuanyuan didn't want to have any conflict with Lin Yi. He just wanted to gain Chu Mengyao's favor by means of appeasement. Around noon, the beach began to fill up. While it wasn't a safe swimming area like the beachfront, its environment was great, and many people who came for beach barbecues would choose this spot to drive their own cars. Of course, most people would leave after their barbecues, and few would swim or stay overnight. They would instead camp near the beach. After all, few were as daring as Lin Yi, fearless of sharks. Driving a Q7 and a Land Cruiser to the beach to eat instant noodles? Whose sons are these? Are they trying to show off? I think the cars are probably rented, not necessarily. Seeing them cook noodles with suitor, maybe they have a special hobby? A particular love for it, or maybe they were robbed? All their delicious food was taken, leaving them with only instant noodles. The Truth King appeared, but no one believed him. How could there be robberies in this area? Why weren't we robbed? Someone immediately retorted. And Xuanyuan's face suddenly turned ugly when he heard the tourists talking about him. He stood up with a fierce look on his face and said to the onlookers, "What are you looking at? I just like eating instant noodles. How about it? Noodles cooked in seawater, that's called seafood noodles. Most people can't even eat it." Suddenly, bursts of laughter came from the onlookers, and Xuanyuan became even more angry. However, the law does not punish the masses, so he can't go and cause trouble for everyone one by one, right? If those people attack him in a group, he will not be a match for them. Thinking of this, Xuanyuan could only swallow his anger and said, "Let's go. Go back, there was no point in staying here any longer." Chu Mengyao and the others would probably go back after dinner. After all, no one would camp here for 2 consecutive nights. And Xuanyuan's guess was correct. Lin Yi did plan to go home after lunch. Today was May 2nd, and tomorrow was the last day of vacation. He should go back and rest because he would go to school the day after tomorrow. Chapter 1171 Meeting Ziyu Fang again. The curriculum for senior year is still very tight. Whether it's the eldest lady, Xia Oshu or Tang Yun, they all have to go back to review. "I'm so full." Chen Yushu held her round belly and lay on the beach, unwilling to move. "It's delicious. It's really delicious. That Yang Ganglao is such a good person. He bought so many delicious foods." Feng Xiaoxiao was also very full and said with a burp. Chu Mengyao and Tang Yun were more polite. They were the type who only wanted to taste a little. They were satisfied when they were full and would not eat non-stop just because the food was delicious. "Huh? Isn't this Lin Yi? And Mengyao, Yushu, Tang Yun and Xiaoxiao?" Just when they were resting after eating, a familiar voice rang out. Lin Yi looked up and was surprised to find it was Ziyu Fang. Meeting Ziyu Fang here at this time and occasion was a bit of a surprise to Lin Yi. "Ziyu Fang? Is your car repaired?" Lin Yi had already begun to doubt Ziyu Fang's background. Naturally, he wouldn't have any close friendship with someone who hid his strength from him, so he always treated Ziyu Fang with a cold attitude. "Haha, it's just a car. I bought another one." A flicker of hatred flashed in Ziyu Fang's eyes. If Lin Yi hadn't been there, he'd have believed it wasn't him who was giving money, but someone else who was giving him money. This damned guy always showed up just when he was about to display his strength. Wasn't that just making things difficult for him? Originally, Ziyu Fang hadn't wanted to greet Lin Yi today, but thinking of the important task his family had entrusted him to investigate Lin Yi's background, Ziyu Fang had to feign intimacy with Lin Yi, hoping to elicit some information from him. Ziyu Fang observed that, aside from spending time with 4 beautiful women, Chu Mengyao, Chen Yushu, Tang Yun, and Feng Xiaoxiao, Lin Yi didn't seem to interact with anyone else. It seemed like this guy was always flirting with girls. Ziyu Fang could see at a glance the backgrounds of Chu Mengyao, Chen Yushu, and Feng Xiaoxiao. Except for Tang Yun, who was born into a commoner family, these 3 all had some backgrounds. But these 3 all got along very well with Lin Yi, so it had to be said that this kid Lin Yi was quite amazing. If he didn't really have some skills, he wouldn't have been favored by these 3 girls. Could it be that Lin Yi was really a descendant of a hidden family who came out to gain experience, or even someone from an ancient sect? The more Ziyu Fang came into contact with Lin Yi, the more unsure he became about Lin Yi's background, so the more he dared not act rashly. Although he was arrogant and conceited, and usually looked high and mighty, thinking that he could kill Lin Yi with one move, after the continuous setbacks during this period, Ziyu Fang calmed down. He was waiting for the Xiao family to take action first. He hadn't expected it before. The Xiao family had fallen to a certain extent, and they were unable to take care of themselves, So how could they have the time to cause trouble for Lin Yi? But now that the Xiao family had the support of the Hidden Pie family, and the person Lin Yi had injured was none other than a member of the Hidden Pie family, Zhu Yufeng was content to relax and not be the first to take the initiative. It would have been better for the Xiao family to take the initiative and kill Lin Yi, but even if they didn't, they could still test Lin Yi's true nature. And Zhu Yufeng wasn't a fool. He now had a more important task, to seduce Song Lingshan. This was the Song family's talented daughter, and she was quite striking. It was said that the Song family's martial arts were perfect for dual cultivation. If he could get her into bed, wouldn't his own martial arts skills skyrocket? It was said that even the old man of the Song family, a martial arts wretch, had been forcibly promoted to the late yellow rank. As a genius himself, wouldn't he have been able to ascend directly to the earth rank? Thinking of this, Zhu Yufeng immediately scrapped all his previous plans and gave up on pursuing the girl around Lin Yi. This was no joke. Song Lingshan worked in Songshan City. If she knew he was flirting with girls at school, her impression of him would likely plummet. While it's not uncommon for young men from aristocratic families to have multiple wives, getting caught and not getting caught is a completely different matter. Furthermore, Zhu Yufeng, who hasn't even gotten married yet, is already thinking about taking a concubine, a serious taboo. So now Zhu Yufeng has calmed down, no longer deliberately targeting Lin Yi. He's just a little puzzled. Why haven't the Xiao family taken action yet? What are they waiting for? Oh, do you have anything else? If not, we're leaving. Lin Yi glanced at Zhu Yufeng, unwilling to exchange another word. Okay, you guys have fun. I'm leaving. Zhu Yufeng nodded, turned away, his expression darkening. Zhu Yufeng had come here today to scout the area. He'd learned from his acquaintances at the Songshan police station that Song Lingshan would be on leave tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. Zhu Yufeng wasn't surprised by the police's staggered leave schedule. Special departments naturally have different leave policies, and it was normal for Song Lingshan to be on duty during holidays. Zhu Yufeng planned to formally invite Song Lingshan for a trip tomorrow, but he wasn't very familiar with the tourist attractions near Songshan City. To avoid any last-minute preparations, he decided to check them out first. So, today, he drove to the beach with Li Pangu and Wang Kongming, and unexpectedly ran into Lin Yi. Zhu Yufeng had also brought some barbecue ingredients with him, planning to practice with Li Pangu and Wang Kongming, honing his skills. So, after Zhu Yufeng returned from Lin Yi's visit, the three of them sat down on the ground and prepared to start grilling. Lin Yi glanced at Zhu Yufeng and the others but ignored them. After a short rest, the five of them were about to leave when Lin Yi saw someone he wasn't expecting. Chen Zai, the girl Lin Yi and Feng Xiaoxiao had met at the beef noodle shop, was now picking up trash on the beach with an old man, carrying a sack. This area is full of people who drive here to have barbecues and picnics. They throw away empty beer and drink bottles everywhere. Some rich people even throw away the skewers and grills used to cook lamb kebabs. They just throw them on the beach and leave. So every holiday and weekend, if you pick up trash here, you will get a lot. Chen Zai obviously got a lot today. You can see it from her blushing face. She is very happy. But Lin Yi's eyes fell on the old man next to Chen Zai. An internal martial arts master with the strength of the peak of the late Zhuan level? Lin Yi's eyes almost popped out. An internal martial arts master with the strength of the peak of the late Zhuan level actually came out to pick up trash? Why is there so many weird situations in this world? Originally, Lin Yi wanted to get up and say hello to Chen Zai, but the appearance of this old man dispelled Lin Yi's idea. Chapter 1172 Conflict and Lessons. Lin Yi wanted to observe secretly again to see what was going on with this old man. Chen Zai and the old man were walking around the tourists barbecuing on the beach, picking up the drink cans and beer bottles they had thrown around them. Many people looked at them with disgust and contempt. Of course, Chen Zai didn't notice Lin Yi here. It was estimated that Chen Zai at this moment had no time to pay attention to others. His attention was completely focused on the drink bottles. Soon, Chen Zai walked to the side of Zhu Yufeng. Chen Zai, like before, picked up a beer can next to Zhu Yufeng, but after picking it up, she found something wrong. There was still beer in the beer hall, not empty. Chen Zai quickly put it down, but her action was seen clearly by Zhu Yufeng next to her. Zhu Yufeng flew into a rage, pointing at Chen Zai and yelling, "What are you doing, girl? I'm sorry, I thought it was an empty can." Chen Zai quickly apologized. This had happened before, but Chen Zai could only swallow his anger. After all, he was there to pick up trash, so it was his responsibility. Even though some tourists were being unreasonable, there was nothing Chen Zai could do. I'm sorry? Just say sorry? Damn, this is bad luck. Ziyu Feng was enjoying his meal, nibbling on his skewers and beer, when Chen Zai nearly took his beer. He eventually put it down, but seeing Chen Zai's dirty appearance, how could he drink from the beer can she had touched? Thinking of this, Ziyu Feng picked up the half-eaten can of beer that Chen Zai had touched and threw it directly at Chen Zai, instantly spilling the beer all over him. The old man beside Chen Zai wasn't spared either, getting doused in beer. Young man, be merciful when you can. Aren't you going too far? The old man frowned, having not expected Ziyu Feng to be so arrogant. Although he had had minor conflicts with others while scavenging trash before, those people had only cursed at him at best. How could Ziyu Feng do that, pouring beer on someone? Excessive? Old man, I'm telling you, if she weren't a little girl, I would have slapped her in the face if it were you. That's the least of it. How dare you meddle in other people's business? Ziyu Feng had been repeatedly humiliated by Lin Yi, and then beaten and extorted of a large sum of money by Wu Tixiao. Naturally, he was very upset. He had been feeling down the past few days and was looking for someone to vent his anger on, and now these two ragpickers had come to him. Chen Zai was indeed very beautiful, comparable to Chu Mengyao and the others, but the shabby clothes and tattered straw hat she was wearing diminished her beauty. And what kind of background did Ziyu Feng have? The eldest young master of the Yu family. In his eyes, people like Chen Zai are inferior people, the lowest class. Even if she is good-looking, so what? Even if she is good-looking and given to him for free, he would not bother to do it, because he thinks it is a loss of face. If people knew that he, the eldest young master of the Yu family, had a little girl who picked up rags, wouldn't he be laughed at by people from other families? So Ziyu Feng will not show any sympathy to women at all. He just wants to use this excuse to scold people and vent his anger. Originally, this matter was let go, but since you, an old man, are meddling in other people's business, this young master has changed his mind. You kneel down and kowtow to me twice now, and this matter will be let go. Otherwise, believe it or not, I will call the police to arrest you. After Ziyu Feng said these words, he felt much better. The resentment of many days was finally released at this moment. He was so aggrieved during this period, he was almost frustrated to death. The eldest young master of the Yu family failed in his mission and suffered so much. Lin Yi, we didn't dare to do anything to him for now, but you, an old ragpicker, dared to speak to me like that? Do you really think I, Ziyu Feng, am a tiger in the open and being bullied by a dog? Call the police on us? We're not breaking the law by picking up trash, so what gives you the right to arrest us? Chen Zai looked at Ziyu Feng with some dissatisfaction. She had already apologized, but this man was so relentless and even asked Grandpa Zhu to kneel down. How abhorrent. Picking up trash? You stole my beer, and you thought I didn't see it? My two friends here are witnesses, they saw it clearly. And I'm not afraid to tell you, my fiancé is a police officer. Do you think she will believe me or you? Ziyu Feng said proudly. At this point, he had already regarded Song Lingshan as his fiancé. In Ziyu Feng's opinion, the Song family must have informed Song Lingshan of this family-arranged marriage long ago. Although the two families had not yet officially engaged, the matter had been discussed by the heads of the two families, and it was basically a done deal, and there would be no problems. Next, it was a question of whether the two juniors could get along well. As long as there were no major conflicts and they got along well, the next step would definitely be to discuss the marriage. Unless the two disliked each other and there were even bigger conflicts, they would consider it separately. Of course, in many cases, for the sake of face, even if the two juniors were not very harmonious, they would still force the marriage for the sake of the overall situation. After all, it would be a bit embarrassing to separate something that had been decided for some reason. A cold look flashed across Grandpa Zhu's eyes. As an inner family master with the strength of the peak of the late Zhuang level, how could he come out to pick up trash if he hadn't been commissioned by the head of the family? And that would be fine, but a little young man actually asked him to kneel down. How could he tolerate it? Ziyu Feng's arrogant attitude had already made Grandpa Zhu want to kill him, and he decided to teach this ignorant guy a lesson. If he wasn't afraid of getting in trouble, Grandpa Zhu would have wanted to kill him on the spot. Good, very good, Grandpa Zhu smiled instead of getting angry. and stretched out his hand to pat Ziyu Feng's body. It seemed as if he wanted to pat Ziyu Feng's shoulder, but in fact, he was hiding murderous intentions. Masters at the top of the Zhuan level like Grandpa Zhu have many ways to harm others. What he wants to do is to inject his true energy into Ziyu Feng's body. Maybe Ziyu Feng will not be in any trouble on the spot, but in the future, this true energy will remain in Ziyu Feng's body, causing him to suffer from pain all over his body from time to time and suffer from torture. Of course, this is only for ordinary people. For masters, such a small amount of true energy can be refined. Lin Yi also often uses this kind of sinister method, but Lin Yi is much more sophisticated than Grandpa Zhu. When you slap someone, the true energy transferred at this moment is limited. You can't keep slapping them and transferring true energy, right? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1173, Everything is Hidden. Therefore, for ordinary masters, this move can only transmit a very limited amount of ki. But Lin Yi is different. He can compress his ki, meaning he can transmit a much larger amount of ki in the same amount of time. Therefore, the effect achieved by Lin Yi's move is far greater than Grandpa Zhu's. Lin Yi's move can even deal with high-level practitioners. You can refine a small amount of different ki, but I can give you a large amount. It depends on how you refine it. Even if you can refine it, it will take time. Moreover, if you refine too much of this stuff, you may become possessed and die. Isn't this the current situation of the Medicine King? His body is covered with silver needles, and beneath each needle is Lin Yi's sealed compressed energy. The Medicine King has to devote all his cultivation to refining it bit by bit, or he has to have a magic elixir or the help of a master. But the Medicine King has neither of these things right now. He can only bear the heavy load of silver needles every day, angry but helpless. However, what Grandpa Zhu didn't expect was that the moment he extended his hand to transmit energy into Ziyu Feng's body, something unexpected happened. Ziyu Feng easily dodged Grandpa Zhu's palm strike, instead leaning to the side. His eyes glared with disbelief and shock. A late Zhuan level peak master, an early Zhuan level peak master, Grandpa Zhu was stunned. He'd wanted to teach Ziyu Feng a lesson, but he hadn't expected the man before him to be a master. How could this be too dramatic? Picking up scraps on the beach, and yet he'd run into Zhuan level master? Grandpa Zhu, while amazed at Ziyu Feng's youth, felt a surge of fear. It wasn't his strength that frightened him, but his own fear of revealing his true identity. For years, he'd been ordered by the patriarch to stay by Chen Zai and her daughter's side, patiently forbearing without mishap. But now, something unexpected had happened. Fortunately, Chen Zai didn't understand the divisions of power within the martial arts world, so she wouldn't understand what Ziyu Feng meant. Thinking of this, Grandpa Zhu felt relieved. Young man, apologize to us and we'll let this go. Otherwise, HMPH, since his strength was already known, Grandpa Zhu didn't need to be gentle, instead issuing a cold threat. Apologize? Which family are you from? Ziyu Feng wasn't afraid. Instead, he stared at the old man. He knew he belonged to a certain family, and if he just mentioned the Yu family, he wouldn't dare to do anything to him. Which family are you from? Grandpa Zhu frowned. I'm from the Yu family, Ziyu Feng said proudly. If you know what's good for you, get out of here and don't get in my way. Otherwise, HMPH, Yu family? Which Yu family? Grandpa Zhu asked calmly. The Yu family of Yanjing, haven't you heard of them? The head of the 9 great families, Ziyu Feng snorted. I thought it was the hidden Yu family, but it turns out it's just the secular Yu family, Grandpa Zhu said calmly. Since you don't want to apologize, take my slap. With that, Grandpa Zhu was about to slap him. But before Grandpa Zhu could deliver his slap, a voice called out, wait a minute, Lin Yi, why are you here? Ziyu Feng gritted his teeth, his eyes bloodshot. The great master Lin had arrived again. Hearing this, Ziyu Feng nearly vomited blood. It was already difficult for him to fight a peak late profound stage expert with his strength. But Lin Yi suddenly appeared. He had no choice but to hide his strength, and wouldn't that mean he was about to get beaten? However, the one who was most frustrated at this moment wasn't Ziyu Feng, but Grandpa Zhu. He was startled when Ziyu Feng called out Lin Yi and quickly gathered his ki. After all this time investigating, he already knew who the Lin Yi Chen Zai was talking about was. He was just thinking about how to stop Lin Yi's sabotage, but before he could come up with a plan, he ran into Lin Yi. Lin Yi's appearance at this time was also to test Chen Zai's Grandpa Zhu. In Lin Yi's opinion, it was incredible that a master with the strength of the peak of the late Zhuan level was hiding next to Chen Zai. A Zhuan level master came out to pick up rags? Unless he had a special hobby, or he was a psychopath. Of course, this Grandpa Zhu didn't look like a psychopath at all, but to say that it was his hobby was a bit unreasonable. Lin Yi had never heard of any master having such a hobby, unless it was for a purpose. Thinking of this, Lin Yi's eyes condensed, and he stood up and walked over. Nothing, I know this little girl, I'll plead for her, let's just let this matter go. Lin Yi pointed at Chen Zai. Although he said he was pleading, he actually used an unquestionable tone, leaving Ziyu Feng with no way to refute. Ziyu Feng knew now was not the time to turn against Lin Yi, so he naturally had to give Lin Yi face. So, he simply took advantage of the situation and said, since you're Lin's friend, let's just forget about it. Well, then, you guys continue, Lin Yi said, pulling Chen Zai aside. His meaning was clear, I know this little girl, but I don't know this old man. You and this old man, continue. Ziyu Feng was slightly stunned, but he could clearly sense that the old man in front of him had also been holding back his ki. This puzzled Ziyu Feng. He was afraid that Lin Yi would see his strength, and was this old man afraid that Lin Yi would also see his strength? Otherwise, why would he hide his strength when Lin Yi arrived? Grandpa Zhu's gaze retracted, and he turned to walk towards Lin Yi and Chen Zai without saying anything more to Ziyu Feng. At this moment, Ziyu Feng was even more resolute in his previous thoughts. This old man must be afraid that his strength would be exposed. Otherwise, why would this old man have just threatened to hide him with a blow? How could he act as if nothing had happened? After careful analysis, Ziyu Feng came to the conclusion that there was also a hidden secret between this old man and Lin Yi, and he guessed that it was the same as his own. So, he suddenly became excited as if he had been injected with chicken blood. He pointed at Grandpa Zhu and said, Old man, don't go away. Aren't you going to hit me? Take my blow first. As soon as Ziyu Feng finished speaking, he raised his fist and punched the old man in the back. Grandpa Zhu didn't expect Ziyu Feng to hold on to him. He was immediately furious, but he was also a little embarrassed. Thinking of his important task, he absolutely could not reveal his strength in front of Lin Yi at this time. So he could only bite the bullet and take Ziyu Feng's punch without using his true energy. Chapter 1174 Stupid or Genius? Ziyu Feng hit the old man with one punch, and his heart suddenly burst into joy. Sure enough, his guess was right. This old man also had a secret like himself. He was also hiding his strength. Thinking of this, Ziyu Feng started punching him one after another. Without using true energy, Ziyu Feng could still teach this old man a lesson. Although Grandpa Zhu's strength was higher than Ziyu Feng, when neither of them used true energy, Ziyu Feng naturally had the upper hand. Ziyu Feng was a young man, and he had the upper hand in terms of physical strength. Putting aside true energy, Ziyu Feng's physique was far stronger than that of an old man, so Ziyu Feng started a one-sided beating. Chen Zai didn't expect that Ziyu Feng would start beating people in the blink of an eye, and he was immediately shocked. Seeing that Lin Yi's surprise and joy hadn't yet been expressed, a deep worry appeared on his face. Big brother, don't you know that guy? Can you tell him not to hit Grandpa Zhu? My words may not be enough. Your Grandpa Zhu was so arrogant before, he wanted to hide him. He provoked him. There's nothing I can do, Lin Yi said helplessly, but it seems that your Grandpa Zhu has a trump card. He shouldn't be hurt. It's okay, huh? Chen Zai didn't quite understand Lin Yi's words, but what Lin Yi said did make some sense. It seemed that Grandpa Zhu had provoked him first. Grandpa Zhu almost vomited blood after hearing Lin Yi's words. If you hadn't come, wouldn't I have beaten him? Why are you here if you don't have anything to do? However, Grandpa Zhu felt aggrieved, but he couldn't say it. Ziyu Feng's fists rained down, immediately beating Grandpa Zhu's face to pieces. However, Grandpa Zhu also keenly noticed something. Ziyu Feng didn't seem to be using his true ki. If Ziyu Feng said he didn't use his ki because he was afraid of hurting him, seeing that he had retracted it, Grandpa Zhu would never believe it. Ziyu Feng wasn't like that at all. The only possibility was that this guy was also wary of Lin Yi. Perhaps he didn't dare to use his key? Thinking of this, Grandpa Zhu breathed a sigh of relief. This way, no matter how hard he hit, it would only be superficial injuries, not serious damage to the bones. He could endure it for now. Once Lin Yi left, that would be the time for revenge. Ziyu Feng, right? You wait. If I don't beat you into the hospital today, I'm not the Zhu family. Of course, Grandpa Zhu didn't dare kill Ziyu Feng. After all, he claimed he was from the Yu family in the secular world. What if killing one of their children caused trouble for the head of the family? Lin Yi had originally wanted Ziyu Feng to test Grandpa Zhu. Seeing that Grandpa Zhu didn't fight back, he was certain that this guy was deliberately hiding his strength, not wanting him to discover it. There was definitely something wrong with him. After all, Lin Yi came to reconcile before, and Grandpa Zhu could explain that he could put away his true energy, but now it seems that he was guarding against Lin Yi before. Chen Zai, how is your mother? Lin Yi turned to look at Chen Zai and asked. After taking the medicine, it's much better, Chen Zai mentioned his mother, and a hint of happiness flashed in her eyes. Her mother's condition improved. This is Chen Zai's biggest wish, thank you, brother Lin Yi, haha, it's nothing, it's just a little effort. Lin Yi glanced at Grandpa Zhu with a meaningful meaning. But now it's hard to ask Chen Zai in person, just waiting for the opportunity to ask alone in the future. At this time, Feng Xiaoxiao also saw Chen Zai and hurriedly walked over. When Chen Zai saw Feng Xiaoxiao, he also said hello, Sister Xiaoxiao. After saying hello, Chen Zai's eyes turned to Ziyu Feng and Grandpa Zhu again. Ziyu Feng obviously had not let Grandpa Zhu go. He was annoyed. He was so frustrated that he had been too frustrated for a while. He hid his strength one after another when he had no choice but to be beaten up by some people who were not as strong as him. But now, Ziyu Feng was finally happy. Old man, you're hiding your strength too. Do you feel good getting beaten up by someone less powerful than you? Regardless of whether Grandpa Zhu was happy or not, Ziyu Feng was very happy. He was incredibly happy. It was a sense of accomplishment that had finally erupted after being suppressed for so long. Now, he felt like he had swapped roles with his bully. The old man must have felt just as frustrated as he had before. Having strength but not being able to use it, wow. Ziyu Feng became more and more excited as he fought. He wanted to return all the grievances he had suffered these days to this old man. Xiaoxiao, let's go. Lin Yi had no intention of staying any longer. Regardless of the old man's identity, regardless of whether he was good or evil, at least he had no hostility towards Chen Zai at the moment. So, Lin Yi didn't have to worry about Chen Zai being in danger here. He believed that once he left, the situation on the field would be reversed. Ziyu Feng would go from being the one beating the other to being the one being beaten. Lin Yi, why didn't you stop Ziyu Feng? Feng Xiaoxiao was stunned. She didn't expect Lin Yi to just leave without caring about anything. She was immediately confused. Let's go back. Lin Yi gave Feng Xiaoxiao a look and pulled her back. Although Feng Xiaoxiao didn't understand what Lin Yi meant, she knew there must be a reason for his cleverness. So she didn't say anything. She glanced at Chen Zai and followed Lin Yi. Over there, Chu Mengyao, Chen Yushuo, and Tang Yun were also very dissatisfied with Ziyu Feng's beating up an old man, but what surprised them was that Lin Yi didn't care. Chu Mengyao wanted to say something, but Chen Yushuo looked at Grandpa Zhu thoughtfully, then at Ziyu Feng, and pulled Chu Mengyao, saying, Sister Yao, Brother Arrow is already in the car. Let's go. I want to go home. Tang Yun wanted to say something, but seeing that Feng Xiaoxiao didn't say anything, she didn't say anything either and got on the car together. Only after Lin Yi started the car and drove off did Feng Xiaoxiao voice her doubts. Husband Lin Yi, why did you let Ziyu Feng beat up that old man, really? If Ziyu Feng really wanted to, he'd have been beaten to death long ago. Lin Yi smiled. Feng Xiaoxiao was stunned, somewhat confused by Lin Yi's words, but Chen Yushu suddenly slapped her forehead and exclaimed, that old man is also a master. But he must have been hiding his strength from Brother Arrow. Lin Yi glanced back at Xiaoshu in surprise. He hadn't expected her to be right. Of the girls around him, Xiaoshu was undoubtedly the smartest. Although she sometimes looked silly, Lin Yi felt it was just a disguise. Or perhaps she really wanted to be that silly girl, not a calculating genius. Chapter 1175 The Reversal. Lin Yi didn't know the reason, but since Chen Yushu hadn't spoken, he wouldn't ask, considering it might involve someone's privacy. Pengzhan was slightly taken aback by Chen Yushu's words. Although she'd previously considered the old man suspicious, she hadn't considered him hiding his true strength. But now, after hearing Chen Yushu's explanation, it made sense. Before Lin Yi approached, the old man had indeed aggressively demanded an apology from Ziyu Fen. A normal, vulnerable scavenger, faced with such an arrogant young man, would likely apologize repeatedly, with no intention of resisting. But this old man did, and remained calm, as if he were truly formidable. However, after Lin Yi approached, the situation reversed. The old man instantly deflated, even turning away without a word. This also demonstrated that, despite his dejection, he was a man of strength and pride, and even as he left, he didn't offer any soft words. Tang Yun and Chu Mengyao were also thinking about the time Ziyu Feng had deliberately concealed his strength from Lin Yi and was beaten by some thugs. Could it be the same thing happening today? Lin Yi smiled slightly, stopped the car not far away, and said, Xiaoshu is right, but now, I'm afraid it's that old man beating Ziyu Feng. Xiaoshu had brought a full complement of equipment this time, even binoculars. So the others took the binoculars out of the trunk and peered towards the beach. Sure enough, they saw an incredibly astonishing scene. Ziyu Feng was enjoying the fight so much that he didn't even notice Lin Yi had left. He finally found peace, and the frustration he had been carrying for days finally melted away. So what if you're a peak level late stage 1 level expert? You still got beaten by me, a peak level early stage 1 level expert? And I didn't even use any Zenki, I was fighting you with my bare hands. However, Ziyu Feng's joy didn't last long before he felt as if his fists were hitting iron. The next moment, Ziyu Feng suddenly discovered that the old man had actually raised his true energy again, and then, the old man suddenly stood up and slapped him with a palm. Ziyu Feng was shocked. He didn't expect that the old man, who had been hiding his strength for so long, would suddenly burst out. What was going on? Didn't he want to hide anymore? Ziyu Feng subconsciously looked around, but there was no trace of Lin Yi here. Lin Yi had already left. The next moment, cold sweat immediately broke out on Ziyu Feng's forehead. Why did Lin Yi leave? I haven't fought enough yet? Even if you leave, you should tell me. I'm going with you. Now that you're gone, the old man will regain his strength. Isn't he pitying me? Ziyu Feng wanted to run, but before he could run, he was hit hard by Grandpa Zhu. Ah! Ziyu Feng screamed and subconsciously used his true energy. However, he was a master at the peak of the early Zhuan level, so how could he be a match for the master at the peak of the late Zhuan level? There was a gap of several levels between them. Grandpa Zhu didn't want to kill Ziyu Feng, so it became a one-sided brutality. Old man Zhu was almost mad with rage. How dare you, a master at the peak of the early Zhuan level, hit me? If I hadn't been afraid of being discovered by Lin Yi, I would have beaten you into the hospital long ago. You didn't beg for mercy, and you dared to do this to me? So, now that he has turned the tables, how could old man Zhu let Ziyu Feng go? If he didn't beat Ziyu Feng into the hospital, he wouldn't be called Zhu. Chen Zai, who was watching from the sidelines, was a little dumbfounded. What was going on? Grandpa Zhu, who was just being beaten, suddenly seemed to be assisted by God and went from being the one being beaten to the one beating? This transformation was a bit too fast, wasn't it? You little bastard, didn't you hit me? Aren't you ruthless? I wonder if you can still do that. Old man Zhu was truly enraged. You, a descendant of the Yu family in the secular world, are you pretending like this? If you're stronger than me, then just give me a beating and I won't say anything. It's my bad luck, but you're so weak, and you're still pretending with me. Don't you want to die? Have mercy, Grandpa, spare me. I was wrong. Ziyu Feng immediately gave in, not even thinking of resisting. Although he was also a Zhuan level expert, he was only at the peak of the early Zhuan level, while old man Zhu was at the peak of the late Zhuan level. The difference was so great that Ziyu Feng didn't dare to resist. If it were Lin Yi, with his superior mental skills and pure Zenki, he would have dared to fight against him, but Ziyu Feng's strength was completely the result of the accumulation of magical drugs. As a direct descendant of the Yu family, he was naturally the focus of the family's training. Therefore, his kung fu was largely forced and lacked real combat experience. How could he be a match for an old man like old man Zhu? So it was wise for him not to resist. Had he resisted, he would have been in even worse trouble. Ziyu Feng was now completely using his ki to protect his vitals, and Old Man Zhu didn't want to kill him. So, while Ziyu Feng appeared seriously injured, his meridians weren't damaged, only his muscles and bones were injured. He'd be fine after a short hospital stay. Ziyu Feng hadn't expected such bad luck today. Seeing Lin Yi was his unlucky day. The girls, including Miss Xiao Shu, Tan Yun, and Xiao Xiao, exchanged binoculars, laughing uncontrollably at Ziyu Feng's miserable state. Lin Yi had proven right, Ziyu Feng was now the one being beaten. After beating Ziyu Feng, Old Man Zhu, fearing the police, quickly turned and pulled the stunned Chen Zai away, quickly leaving the scene. Ziyu Feng's two henchmen, Li Fadi and Wang Kongming, naturally didn't dare to block their path. They were no match for Old Man Zhu, so they left and that was it. The most urgent thing was to send Ziyu Feng to the hospital for treatment. It seemed that Ziyu Feng was beaten badly. If he went a little later, his life might be in danger. Old Man Zhu was not afraid of anything. He didn't believe that Ziyu Feng would call the police. Few children from such aristocratic families would call the police after suffering a loss. Moreover, Ziyu Feng was also hiding his strength. He would never publicize such things. As for his own strength, he was even less worried about it being exposed. If Ziyu Feng told others, it would be like revealing his own strength. Although he didn't know why Ziyu Feng was also hiding it, Old Man Zhu didn't need to know. It was enough for him to know that he was fine. Chen Zai, on the other hand, looked at his Grandpa Zhu strangely. Grandpa Zhu, you are so powerful, why didn't you fight back before? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.